Mikey,
One is
you're
my
on.
Friend Community Corrections Director, and have two of my staff here, Jennifer Mallon and Kelly Church.
Good morning.
And Kelly's gonna present the portion of our budget, which she works on all the time, she and I together, as well as Jen. Like we do every time I go through, what community corrections contribute to the general fund. I'll go ahead and list that. For 24-25, planning on, $628,883 for jail beds. 77,988 for the general fund allocation. 10,000 for sheriff's dispatch, 134,495 for a deputy district attorney, and that's a total of 851,366, an increase of 18,841 from the last budget cycle. And the increases were from dispatch and the increase in the allocation. So that's what we, as a department, contribute to the county general fund. So gonna have Kelly present the budget piece.
Okay, and then, also just one note out of that, we give 26% of our budget goes towards the jail, that 628.
Say that again?
We give 26% of our budget that goes towards the jail.
Okay.
So, I'll go ahead and start with revenue, and Bob said to not go line item by line item, so I'll just go through the changes and the total. So our revenue is $4,562,564, and you'll see an increase in the ODC community correction piece of $2,167,710 since I last presented to the board. And the reason for that is the Department of Corrections ended up in the short session getting an extra $16 million that they fought for, and our portion of that for the 23-25 period is $314,815. That will show up in July as part of our 5th quarter allotment. So I just wanted to explain that, why that number went up. Then we have our wages, and pays for 18 FTEs, $2,478,655. Then you go into materials and services, $671,257. Capital outlay, this was a change from the last time we visited. It went up to $90,000 for 2 Explorers. One of the reasons for that is we're currently have one on order, but we don't know that it's gonna make it till the next thing, so I wanted to plan for that, and that money would roll over. Permits and rent, $73,611, no changes there. From last time I presented, information technology, $16,000 to pay for 5 laptops and 2 printers. Less than 5,000 equipment, $17,600, and no real changes there. You go into administrative services, and it's $114,537. Insurance premiums, $18,931. Sex offender for coastal center treatment and polygraphs, $40,000 for the year. Subsidy that comes from the state to help parolees when they come out of prison, $7,726. Supervised housing pays for beds at the Bay Area First Step, and there are, I believe, 13 beds that we pay for. Some of them are out of an M57 grant, a couple of them are out of JRI grant, and the rest come out of the DOC money. Training is a change. We upped that to $25,000. There were some adjustments made this year. We moved the administrative management training out of administration and pushed it into the actual training it should have been in. And then we upped it because we have a lot of people that serve on statewide committees, and they are essential to our business, that we're involved in these committees, and it's changing. And so we upped it to account for their travel and training as well. And then you'll see down here under contracted services, one of the changes here is the Reedsport jail bed. We upped it to include not to exceed another $10,000. So we house sex offenders at the Reedsport jail, and we have 1 bed because sometimes our jail can't always hold them. And so it's critical for the safety of the community that we be able to put these people, and they're not going to be released. And so we have 1 bed, but if there's an emergency, we can run over the 1 bed, and that $10,000 will allot for those emergencies.
I guess
As
you
we
can't
discussed.
put 2 sex offenders in the same bed, which
No.
they might like, but
Yeah.
I don't know,
Okay, all right.
It was like I discussed yesterday with the board, we had an instance where we had 2 people commit crimes, and we had one who were shipping out of state, and we wanted him held until the marshals came and took him.
Yeah,
So, and that happened.
And we try to really monitor it and only use it in the event we need to, but we need the flexibility, and that's why we put that extra 10 in
Is this
there.
an amount we pay and then receive services, or is it a daily amount that we pay as we use it?
It's a daily amount that you're using it whether they're filled or not, the contracted amount.
Okay.
Not the 10,000, but the first bed is a contracted amount. They get that regardless if it's used or not. It's always used.
Uh-huh,
The 10,000 is only as you use,
as you say, okay, got it,
in
thank you.
emergencies.
On the jail bed rental, so when you can't put them in the jail here, it's because of lack of room?
Lack of staffing, they only have 48 beds. So, until that gets opened up, and depending on their matrix, whether or not they'll hold them or not.
Okay.
We need that flexibility. Okay. And, let's see here, equipment, I already talked about the vehicle, the vehicles, we have 2, one may roll over. And then the pass-through money on the fines, dollars that come through that we share with the juvenile and the jail.
Rollover refers to coming from this budget to the next budget, not the vehicle
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah, so the
We
vehicle.
have that happen.
that's the sheriff's department
Another
that does
department,
that.
okay.
The vehicle's ordered, but it may not get here till July.
I understand, I was teasing.
Okay,
We have vehicle rollovers that,
okay. Oh, man, I did see that last week, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Hope he's okay.
yeah, he is.
Oh, shoot, I'm sorry. And that's it. And also, I'm assuming you talked to him about 110, that will also be increasing our population at our department.
Right, I've discussed that at work group meetings.
Okay.
yeah.
That with the changes to ballot measure 110, we should be starting to get cases after September that would be misdemeanors and funded misdemeanors that we would supervise. When 110 passed, over time, we lost about 150 cases that we used to supervise. So we're optimistic that with those changes and the prosecutions of the DA's office, we'll get more cases added, which will bring more revenue to our department, more revenue for the county.
And if they get to go to your department instead of the jail, you have counseling services available for
Yes, we
the
do.
110 population.
We are gonna put those cases on a specific caseload, and we're gonna track them, because they're gonna be tracked by entities in Portland and in New York that have an interest in people not being supervised and not prosecuting drug crimes. They're gonna be diversions, which will mean how the.
We'll count, our services will count toward diversion then?
Yes. Yeah. And we'll have housing, treatment, mentoring, cognitive programming, transportation, everything they would need to succeed. So if they don't make it, it's not because we didn't try.
And this caseload is going to be heavily focused on by our department.
Yep.
We're going to have one PO monitor every one of them.
Okay.
And we're going to, if they are looking like they're not making it, we will be looking at putting them into our treatment transition program to where we can put more of an emphasis on them and give them more supports that they would need in order to be successful in the community.
A huge reason why we need more prosecution capacity, because that's a gateway to your department.
Yep.
The only gateway.
We're directly tied, obviously, to our prosecution and enforcement.
Yeah.
We're all critical pieces of the justice system.
And the balance is very, very important of counseling and law enforcement, and that's what makes us unique. We're not just law enforcement, and we're not just counseling, we're a combination.
You're unique in other ways too. All of you.
You said this already, I'm sorry. I'm a little foggy, I missed my coffee this morning. How many people do you supervise at any given?
Well,
Roughly.
right now, active cases, it's 417 as of Monday, according to the yellow sheet that Jenny puts in my box every Monday.
Okay.
There's several hundred warrants, which ebb and flow. Some people leave the state. A lot of our warrants are Oregon only.
A lot of them stick around and don't show up, it's
Yeah.
really weird.
It's interesting, I've gotten calls from Alaska or Florida saying, hey, can you pull that warrant? I said, yeah, come back to Oregon and turn yourself in. Pull the warrant then once you appear in court.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
don't want that.
And, I mean, what do you expect the caseload to expand, like with 110?
I would like to see us get it like we were before, 150 more cases on
Okay,
average. So,
okay.
And it's gonna take a while, I mean,
yeah, it'll take a while to build it.
and we'll need, you know, the DA's office has gotta be able to move them through.
Right.
It's critical.
They're a little behind, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. Okay.
yeah. So we're trying.
And if you could get up to 600, what would that mean to the revenue you share with
It would
the
be,
jail?
it'd be tough to give you that number because it's based on the whole state
Yeah, okay.
population.
Our snapshot, which occurs in October, November, and December, which we'll have a snapshot coming up, and they look at those 3 months, and then they take the overall population, the amount allocated for it, and then we get a percent. Historically, right now, we're at 1.97 of the overall state budget, and we've been up to like 2.12 at our peak. But it depends.
But it shifts throughout every agency, I mean, and that's so it can change it a little bit. But that snapshot, like you said, is October, November, December. We're not gonna have any increase by then because this program isn't gonna start till September. So we're looking a year to two
Okay.
coming up, trying to rebuild.
But eventually it would roll into,
Yeah,
Yes, it will.
and that,
exactly. That's the
you make
goal.
1.97 could increase to 2.12,
Well, we've been up to 2.12 during my term
yeah, I
as
mean,
director.
that sounds like a small number, but it
But it's
would
not in
translate to
those
15% increase.
When you're talking about an amount like what was 255 million, or at one point before the cutbacks, it was 275 million, that's significant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of hundreds makes a
One time it was
difference.
288.
And do you have any, I know this probably gets beyond budget, but this is kind of what we're paying for in a lot of ways. Is there any way to track the like recidivism and all that stuff that
We-
you're
Everything's
doing?
tracked.
Everything's tracked to the
Everything's
state.
tracked, okay.
So we do a community corrections plan, and we also do an annual report, and it's based on the state recidivism rates, and we pull those reports from the state of where we're at.
Okay.
And sometimes we meet them, sometimes we don't. It depends on kind of who goes to prison, and sometimes people go to prison right out of the gate because of the crime.
Yeah.
You know.
And no two cases are probably the same because
Yeah.
they're individuals, right? I mean, yeah.
The biggest successful program I think we have, and Mike can explain, is our treatment transition program.
Yeah, we have a program where we target up to 15 individuals and direct all our services at them, meet with them every 2 weeks, bring in mental health, Bay Area First Step, my team, everybody involved in that individual's life, and we, as a group, we bring them in, we staff the case, look at what they're doing positive, what they need to be working on, and bring them up in front, and have them sit with the PO, and they tell us what they've been doing, and we do positive reinforcement with them, and then also some, accountability, say, hey, like some people, they say, well, all I need is a job, and we say, well, historically, you've gotten a job, but you've relapsed once you've gotten that first paycheck, so you need to learn the skills to stay sober once you get that paycheck. So we work on making sure to ensure they have all the tools, all the supports, so if they don't make it, it's not because we didn't provide them with what they needed.
Right.
They chose not to. And it's surprising, when we wrote the program, Kelly and I sat in my office and wrote out this program, what we were gonna do. We didn't think it was gonna succeed. It's amazing, and it just tells me, I don't know everything about corrections after 31
Yeah.
years. Positive reinforcement for some of these people is huge.
Uh-huh.
A lot of us take it for granted. We have parents that gave us positive reinforcement. Some of these people had nothing.
Yeah.
And some of them are so antisocial that they're probably not gonna change, but some do. And it's amazing how they light up when you tell them, hey, you're doing all these positive things. And we recognize it, and we clap for them, and it's really rewarding at this stage of my career. It really, brings a smile to my face when I see it.
And some of them have, like yesterday, we were in there, a guy, 7 days clean, it's a new beginning for him. And some of them in there have 150 days clean. It's incredible. It's probably the best thing that in our careers.
It's
that
a
we've
good
looked at.
program. the 7 days. This man came in, he was using fentanyl, did something called a quick start, where they detox you immediately by you take in, what's the
I can't think of chloro, something, some type of,
the anti-opiate drug that we use. They administer that, so it flushes the opiates out of their system immediately, and they detox right there. And then once they're clean, it's quite a process, and the person does it themselves. And but they have people there supporting them, and then they get right into treatment, programming, housing. And this guy, fentanyl's a tough thing for people that are addicted to it to deal with, and it was quite enlightening to hear him talk about it. As we're aware, fentanyl's a different animal altogether as far as drug use addiction and crime. So, and we have having some success. I mean, it's a challenge with that drug, obviously. It's the most addictive thing that I've seen in my career, and it's just really wreaking havoc in our community. So if we can help some of these people, that's what we're trying to do.
yeah, and a lot of them are becoming peer mentors and giving back, and you'd be amazed at how many have made it. It's, a lot of them work for Bay Area First Step and ADAPT.
And have long-term sobriety, 6, 7 years. These are people that used to be on the other side coming up with the PO and presented to me when we started the program. And they're our colleagues working together with these cases.
That's
And they're
awesome.
strict. You want to talk about, Kelly asked yesterday, she goes, what about jail in 110? And one of our people, and I'm not gonna say her name, she goes, that wouldn't have worked for me. I needed to be sitting in jail when I decided to get clean.
She said, I needed 30 days to get clear.
Yeah, she was clear after 30 days. People were going in and meeting with her. Now she's over 6 years clean, working, paying taxes, doing all these great things, and, don't even view her as a offender anymore. Very, very, and there's multiple stories like that, people that, not all are successful, but the successes are quite enlightening. At our staff meeting every month, we go around the room, we talk about our successes, because unfortunately in this profession, you focus on the negative ones, and that's not a huge amount. There are people that are never gonna change, that all they need is enforcement, arrest, and accountability. But there's a lot of people that will, if you give them the opportunity, will change. And they may change for a while and have a setback, and then go back to it, but they prove that they could change their lives and have a different outcome.
Probably better.
Those are great stories.
Sorry.
Sorry, we went down.
No, we need that. That's important to know.
I know Bob said be quick.
Sorry.
So much for that. All righty, do I have a motion?
Thank you.
I move tentative approval of the community corrections budget
A
proposal.
second? Second that. Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty.
Have a good day.
Good job,
Juvenile.
guys, I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Juvenile Department.
Morning.
Good morning.
So, just kind of doing a high-level overview of our budget for today. I'm happy to answer questions of things that you guys have. Full disclosure, when you look at the juvenile department budget, I don't believe I have any huge big-ticket items that are going to be huge chunks of money. I've been whittled down through the years to have a considerably smaller budget. So I'm going to kind of just start at the top here, and if anyone has any questions, please do not hesitate to interrupt me. So I would indicate everything that I have in the revenue part, and if we would like to go line item by line item, I can do that. But as far as,
Not really.
mine's pretty short here, so, everything in the revenue, that's what I get. I can't change that. There's nothing I can literally do about that. That's the money I get through pass-through. Those are my increases and decreases. I would indicate that is a overall increase of $3,276. If we come down to my next line item, in the expenses, on mine personally, I'm very visual, so I put the pink in mine versus the yellow, depending if we do the 15% reduction proposal or whether we do the status quo. I would indicate that the 15% reduction, my biggest adjustment in my budget this year would be in regular wages. That would absorb one position that is currently vacant within the juvenile department. If we have any budget members that are new, which you may remember my department is we replaced a variety of people this last year. I was very honest that I didn't think I could train 4 new people in 1 year. So part of the reason a lot of my numbers are considerably lower is I had individuals leave or retire out that quite frankly were at the top of the pay scale and were replaced with people that were considerably lower on the pay scale. So the overall, if you've worked here 20 years, you get the cost of living, you get steps and those sorts of things. And when you replace them with a new worker, they start considerably lower. As I continue to move down to personal services, as you can see in that next section, my biggest change, I believe, is a $1,136 increase. I will indicate, and I'm not going to look at Megan when I say this, they were very clear and I missed this, apologies. We do have one typo in ours, in the 15% reduction, if you look at line item 423.36-01, on the 15% reduction one, we have the wrong number. On the adopted budget 23-24, that number actually should read the same number as on the other one, which is $218,886. And with the exception of that, come down below that, it's an $11,000 difference here. The only other weird thing that is different than historically the way that we proposed from my budget is if you go on one of the very back pages, it's going to talk about vehicles. So as, again, some of you that are newer to the budget committee, there were many years ago the county leased some vehicles, so we're in the last year of a lease, so Gina reached out, we looked into if we were to get that paid off, and to purchase those vehicles, they both have lower miles on them right now. The juvenile department is supportive of purchasing those. Finance is supportive of us asking to do that. The other reason is as soon as we purchase those vehicles, then if we want to poke a few more holes in them or put in a camera system and those sorts of things, it doesn't hurt us on the back end when they get traded back in. Because if it gets traded in, every hole we punch in and those sort of things, we get hit with a thing on the back end of that. I'm at the point where the camera systems and the things in my vehicles need to be replaced. So we did ask for the additional amount of money to simply pay those vehicles off, then they would become ours, and then we can run them for as many miles as we want, replace the camera systems and those sorts of things. That was outside of my normal ask. Normally I would have sold that into next year. I thought, why wouldn't we just take care of that now and be preventative?
We're pretty much completed. Okay, questions for Brian? Jenna?
You speed talk, Brian.
Apologies. I will talk slower next year. I'll make a point of this.
Very slow. You got a look from Megan. Motion, Ben?
I'll move it.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Huh?
Oh,
All righty. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks, Gino.
thanks very
Great
much.
day.
All righty, veterans. Morning.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Veterans Department, actually has a general fund, at $53,246. The Veterans Department reimbursement is a total of $132,118. And then our carryover this year, expected to be $24,116, so $209,480. We had a slight increase from this last year due to Chad Wilkinson, his accreditation and his raise to assistant VSO. We don't have a lot in equipment and technology to request because we've replaced that, we've updated that. Other expenses, we pay rent, total for $7,416. Training and travel and outreach is our biggest expense, and we've got that down to $2,000 for training and travel, and then $6,000 for outreach. Our software and licensing maintenance have gone down, $898, and contracted services expected to be around $14,299. Any questions? Did I skip some? Okay.
Good.
Yeah.
Questions? Anybody?
Nope.
Motion?
Move.
Tentative approval of the Veterans Department budget.
Second?
Okay. Any other burning questions? No?
Oh, good job.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
All right,
Denise.
Keith.
Thanks, Denise.
In and out. Fair. Oh, we better call Jill about community development, would you, Bobby, please? I don't see them here, so.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Again.
Still.
I'm Lisa with the Coos County Fair, for those of you that don't know me, because I don't recognize faces either. So, today we'll make it quick. The three major changes that happened, I'll have you take a look at the interest earnings. Once Megan looked over our last budget, she brought to my attention that we do need to allocate funds there. So that way, when we receive the earnings, we at least have dollar amount there. The next was I had inadvertently put the $5,023 in miscellaneous income under expenses as well. So I just dropped it down twice. And then the other change is we increased the permits rents to $3,000 because in my findings while looking to see how I needed to process something, I realized that the Leapsfield rental lease agreement that we hadn't been paid for 2 years. And so we want to make sure that we keep up with that so that way we can keep the lease going because it's a large piece of land that we need at the fair. So,
Okay, I saw you kind of quizzical. So the agreement what we have with it was Roland and his wife Jerry Lee that we could use their field. We were to pay them $1,000 a year to help cover their property taxes. Because of some transition over the last couple of years in the office manager position, those payments were never made. Lisa, when she was going back through it and working with finance in the accounting system, we realized we hadn't paid. Roland passed away, but Jerry's still. And I don't know if she forgot or she just didn't want to say anything, but you know, of course, Lisa and I both feel, and Brad both feel like we need to go back and make good on those missed payments. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
budgeting for that.
so other than that, there's no changes. I am still tirelessly waiting for TCB to get back to us on the credit card sales that we have not received the funds for. The gentleman that we work with has recently had some health issues and has been in the hospital. So both Brad and I and Megan have been reaching out to TCB. I even reached out yesterday to get this information. So I am hoping to have answers. Thankfully, like I said, Megan has been involved in it with me to try to get that going. So for the time being, we've included the $128,000 in the beginning balance. That is still remain there as we should receive that in. Once that happens, it will change some of the revenue line items so that way we go back through and reallocate those funds.
Okay.
On a positive
Yeah.
note, I was hoping I was going to beat you to it, John. John and I received an email today. Earlier this year, we had the opportunity, like the rest of the county fairs, to apply for funds through the Business Oregon. There was House Bill 3410 that was passed that was allocated towards the county fairs for COVID relief. We found out this morning that our application was successful, and our fair will be receiving $94,112.
Oh.
So yes,
Whoa.
yes. So all the fairs that applied, and the funds were equally split amongst the counties that applied for these dollars. So we hopefully will be getting these before the next. So they could end up being in this budget. So if not, maybe we'll be rolling things around. So there are big things happening at the fair. I'm confident that the next time we come around, we'll have some better answers as far as TCB. But I am, like I said, working diligently to get that rectified.
And I just want to say, TCB is a very reputable company. They do like half of the fairs in the county. think what may have happened is with the transition with the office staff, they may have sent us a check that got misplaced. I don't for a minute believe that they were withholding
So,
funds or.
They were in the process of, TCB was in the process of changing banks. And they put in the request for the electronic funds to come.
Okay.
But we never received them, so it might have just happened in that point when they were switching over banks. But they were looking into it, the last I heard. I may have sent some veiled threats. But,
I doubt that.
oh, I did.
I'm
Veil-
pretty sure.
veil part of it.
I'd be really surprised if that happened.
The other thing too is about the time we should have gotten the money, they're still doing fairs, traveling from county to county and doing fairs, and so it can be pretty hectic in there. Not an excuse, but I wanna let you know going forward, we'll keep better track of them, and we'll make sure if things don't arrive when we think they should, we'll get them.
So what is it that they do?
They're like a event management company that kind of specializes in fairs.
Okay.
And so I think their client list is about half the fairs. They do parking, ticket taking, pre-sales,
Okay.
security,
Oh,
stuff
wow,
like that.
okay.
Yeah, they kind of do the whole gamut, and you kind of pick and choose what
Uh-huh.
services you want. They also do electronic reporting, so we have the ability to, in real time, get on a mobile app and see, like our sales down. Okay, we're gonna run a special, so we can jump on the radio real quick and say, hey, 4-pack for half off or something. We can try to. So yeah, it's services that we could do, but not nearly as efficiently and not with as much real-time data that helps us.
Mhm.
I think this is one of those perfect storms where there was the changing guards, their banking system, so I believe this to be an anomaly from what I've heard from people in the past. So. Other than that, that is the only changes that I have here. Do you guys have any questions for Darius and I?
Just a comment, don't tell Gary about the 94,000, he'll have.
I
it.
haven't.
He'll have it spent 3 times over.
This room and Brad are the only ones that know so far.
Well, and to that end, if I get my way, I'd like to see that go into the unappropriated balance. So it
Doesn't
kind of
sound
stays
like-
in the reserve.
Doesn't sound like much fun.
We'll have to read the agreement once they send it
Yeah.
to make sure that's okay. If there's reporting requirements, then you kind of have to spend it. Or if they put a deadline on when you have to spend it.
Yeah, this is revenue recovery for the lost revenue recovery for COVID, so I'm hoping it'll be kind of free, like, since you didn't have a fair that year, here's some funding, and then, like I say, my personal preference would be to see it go into the unallocated balances, to be held as a reserve.
Thank you. I move tentative approval.
Second.
Discussion? So, some of that would go to repairs, I assume?
We've actually got quite a bit allocated for it. Again, we try to carry, and John brings this up every year, we try to carry kind of a rolling
Yeah.
reserve balance.
Sure.
This year, because of some repairs and some other projects we want to do, the number is lower than I'd like to see it. So I think that's why I'm recommending it goes into there as part of a rolling reserve. I personally, they're not making any more land in Myrtle Point, and if one of those homes goes up for sale, I'd like to be in a position where we could go to you and ask you to look into potentially purchasing it. Our fair's kind of small at 55 acres, and so.
Which home?
I'm sorry?
Which one of those homes? Where are they?
Oh, I
Well,
don't
there's
know.
not
Well,
one yet.
so for example, that property, who was it? I think the LaFranchi's bought it.
Oh, yeah.
That there was like an acre, but right where the exit of the fair is, would have been perfect for us if we'd had, one, known about it, and two, if we'd had the cash to ask you guys to look into purchasing that. Adding a couple acres, there was a pad and a building out there, that could have been our maintenance shop or something, or it could have been additional camping. So we really need the space. We're busting at the seams out there, and I think we should have some funds in reserves that if an opportunity
that.
presented
Right, and
itself.
The parking field or camping field.
Yeah, Well, yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a challenge, but
Yeah, I know
But,
it is, but
buying an acre out there, you could put several RVs for camping out there for sure, or parking, yeah. So that's I don't, just because we get $1, I don't think we need to spend it, I think we need to have some in reserves.
Oh,
Like
where's
that.
Neil?
There's Neil.
Call him up.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
Have a great day.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Move
Let's
on to
see,
health and
community
wellness.
development.
Eric's here, though.
Eric, are you ready for which one? Health and wellness? Okay, we'll wait. So we're on break for till quarter till at least. Yes, in deference to what's her name over there. I got a hold of Jill, but I haven't got a response. Did you get a hold of Jill?
I emailed her, but I haven't heard anything.
I texted her. I don't see him coming down the walkway down there.
That's up to you. It's not our money.
It's up to you. I don't really matter.
Well, everybody's experienced and you know how it works. Ask them just to do the major pluses and minuses. Not every little line item that pretty soon you go to sleep on.
I appreciate that, Bob. You do a great job.
Well,
That's
you've
why,
been at it a few years, right?
There we go.
Good.
What I think on this weather stuff, predicted weather, by the hour, it's gonna rain, it's gonna warm, it's gonna do. I think we should make those guys keep track of what actually happened. Plot predicted versus actual.
It's a great plan.
Rate themselves? Yeah, so we know exactly how they screwed up, and whether or not to trust them. Maybe force them to do better. Yeah, oh, yeah. Never see.
Text, eh?
Huh?
You got my text.
You sent me a text.
The hours, you don't,
I said,
you don't ever.
you're next
Yeah,
after fair and we're almost
yeah,
done.
no way of, I mean, you have to
Bobby
keep
sent
track
me an
of
email. I
yourself.
got it.
Yeah, okay.
It did rain, and how the temperature actually was, versus what they predicted. Yeah. We're doing good. We've got some blooming already.
Really?
When do you turn the heater on? It goes on by itself. It's automatic. Oh, yeah, yeah, it's set. it actually warmed the dirt up before.
Hmm.
Get mats? Electric mat underneath? Yeah, it's pretty clean, yeah, it's all set up, I have tray things. No electric mats? Oh, no, it's just the room temperature. I'm sorry, this is a correction? Last, okay, oh, okay.
Code
This is- You got the
enforcement.
page numbers there.
It won't separate.
So, what do you put the temperature in?
I've got the,
I don't know if I ever.
minutes, I'm supposed to be below
And
60.
last page?
Below. But
Well, I
not,
got mine set.
Let me give you all of them.
It looks like it. Thank you.
I kept meaning to send you a message about that.
do they have to have 60 or more?
It's been on my
Oh.
mind.
They can't go.
And so it runs all
50.
night, when it's cold outside, you know, cause I plant them around the first of February. And so, you know, a couple of months there, it runs every night, and during the day, it warms up. Even, when it's kinda cloudy, it still warms up really
Yeah,
good, and
yeah.
it can get up to 80 degrees on a cold day inside.
Sure.
And I've done a lot of research on it, and so I've got a concrete floor, and so that absorbs the heat that's generated. And it provides heat for that. And I've also got a brick wall on the north wall on the
Okay.
inside, so that whatever,
Right,
you know,
right.
that gets warmed up as well.
There's
So
a
anyhow,
slab,
it's not much, but it helps. you know.
there's a slab insulated between the ground and the
No,
concrete?
no, no, no.
Because normally the ground's about 55 degrees.
Yeah, well, it's better than nothing. But
Okay.
it's just like a rock land down
Bear
there.
Creek Valley drying out at all?
You heat up a big rock, it's like floor, it's
Yeah.
just a concrete
More than
rock,
Winter Lake
Okay.
is.
you know, so it helps.
Okay.
My
And nothing on the backside of the brick
yard
either, huh?
is poorly drained,
Brick
just a
is
swamp all.
about an inch and a half away
Practic
from the
for all
wall,
practical
that's
purposes.
insulated.
It was so
Okay.
discouraging when rain just kept coming and coming.
All right.
Seems to be
Interesting.
going now.
I'm gonna have to
They're
haul
blooming
in
on
You
it.
need to come
probably,
over and see, it's really cool.
Yeah?
probably at least
Cool. Huh.
10 to
How big is the
15
greenhouse?
Yes, it's
Double
16 by
loads.
24.
Oh, big.
to build my road, and we're gonna have to
Oh.
put in about probably
We
8
made it
more,
look like the house.
So it,
because
you're
So it
waiting
looks
for the
like
great
that.
apocalypse or something?
a previous owner who shall remain nameless thought that
tomatoes are.
a
Yeah,
bunch of
Darn
forged
right.
PVC pipe
Gonna be spent cartridges all the way around.
would suffice for conduit or for a culvert.
Who did
But
own it?
What else do you have in there?
I've got a few pepper plants.
It was my brother.
Oh. I won't say anything.
Winding up in the green.
He's
You gotta keep
notorious
moving
for trying to
or you
cheap
die.
out on
That's the
stuff.
whole-
It's like, dude,
that's
you
the-
can't
that's
do
the
that, that
whole
won't work.
Like my
motive
sister,
for this
God, she's
whole
the cheapest
program,
thing
is to keep moving.
God.
in the world.
I see.
And it's fun, you know, maybe you
Seems
can
like
go out
every
there
time
every day
I've
and
tried
sit
to
down,
cheap
drink my
out on
coffee
anything,
and
it ends
look
up costing me a ton more in the end.
So,
But just done right the
Just
first
step
time,
to the
you know.
plate the first time,
Yeah.
right out of the
Take
gate.
care of it.
Yeah.
It's automatic watering. But you know,
So,
when these leaks show
so
up,
anyway,
that's why I
we're
like to
gonna
go out
be
every day or so.
looking around for culvert pricing, but
See,
definitely gonna
see, either, I don't have to be there.
earn the investment on the dump truck. There's no doubt about that.
Cause if there's leaks, there'll be trails around, water trails.
I discovered planting method for tomatoes. Dig a hole about so big and about that deep. And I have just a small handful, just a little bit of multi whatever fertilizer.
Yeah.
Then about that much sawdust, broken down sawdust, and a little bit of fertilizer. And sawdust, and I plant them right up past the offshoots.
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
They
clear up,
should always be planted deeper. than
maybe
they-
only leave about this much out of a plant this tall out of the ground.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I go nuts.
Yeah.
That
I've never planted them
sawdust
that
is
deep.
warm. I had 'em
45.
from here to the top of the brick there for wooden stakes, they went over the top and down the bottom and back up again.
For code enforcement.
Yeah, they're climbers,
Just,
they're
those were
vines,
the
yeah.
cherry ones, and they went nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we,
We're ready.
we are, it's 45. Okay. Please begin with community development. I'm starting to get the term now. I used to call it planning all the time.
I'm sure you've called it other things too.
Well, yes, but, you know, we're in polite company at the moment. Huh?
Yeah, Bob's chair there.
Go ahead.
All right. So we have, community development before you, so that's, planning, building, and enforcement. We had to give you a corrected page because enforcement was kind of like a last minute trying to figure out how to fill all the gaps in that one. So we'll go through that. It's pretty straightforward. Most of our expenses and revenue, well, our revenues come from mostly fees, with a little bit of grant monies here and there. Services to other departments is going to be where your money is gonna come from for code enforcement, and that was the major change. So we have 25,000 that comes from the planning department, 25,000 that comes from the building department, 25,000 from Coos Health and Wellness, 10,000 from roads, 10,000 from solid waste, 60,000 from forestry, and then to fill in 30,000 from economic development. And then 5,000 comes from fines, we're hoping. But we don't bank on that too much, just because it is still newer, and we are actually just more encouraging people to fix their violations rather than to be really stern on the violation side, on the code fine side. So then on the next page is your expenses for your planning department. Again, most of it is going to be in personnel services. There isn't anything major other than we are searching for a new software license, or not software license, but software for permitting. We're trying to find a software that talks between both, or all three categories and makes sense and is easier, more user-friendly for the client to use as well. We have had some hiccups with the client portal on the current software that we have. And some of the contractors have relayed some of the difficulties they're having using that software, so we're trying to find a better solution.
Jill, can I back up a minute?
Sure.
Here, on your revenue sheet, you have a line item called community development. I'm sorry, I may have missed, exactly what is that?
So the community development is the surcharge, and that is used basically to buy any large purchases. So vehicle, if you had to buy a vehicle, if you had to buy a large capacity copier, some things that would come out of like capital outlay and stuff.
So it's a surcharge
it's a
to all
surcharge.
your other fees?
Yes, it is.
Both planning and permitting?
Yes. We do take in other fees for other departments that we do not charge a surcharge on. So, are we ready to move? Is that okay for revenue, John?
Yes.
Okay. So back to, expenses. I don't think that we have anything in there other than, remind me, Amy, what's in contracted services? New software, clients, insurance cost allocation. Okay. 1,000 for employee if needed.
Back to revenue again. So I'm puzzled. We have plumbing at minus 205, and we got structural plus 218.5. Wouldn't, if there's more structural, wouldn't there be more plumbing? If there's less plumbing, Less structural?
These, are estimates based on what we've already collected, so
Yeah.
it's not, we kinda took a conservative approach as to what we are going to bring in.
Just seems like they should kind of,
Well,
along
structural
with
though,
each
I
other.
mean, like your decks,
Yeah,
everything else goes,
Yeah.
all your accessory structures, they don't always
I got
necessarily
that,
have
but
plumbing.
just
Or
seemed strange.
remodels that don't have plumbing, that have structural, so it does kind of make sense that you would have a little bit more in structural than you would in plumbing.
Yeah, there's a,
Structural's more like your overarching,
there's a
the-
$400,000 difference between the two, and I'm going,
and maybe there's a lot of people not getting plumbing permits. That's
Don't
probably
know,
really what
but-
that's telling me.
You mean they're doing them inside nowadays?
Self-help.
I believe your dates, your years are wrong.
Yep. Yep. Okay, back to last year.
Back to
Back to last year, are we done? I was waiting for more.
So we'll be interested to see how plumbing comes out versus structural as we go along.
And we can keep you updated on that when we do.
It just seemed kind of weird
meetings.
to me.
I don't disagree with you, but I feel like electrical and structural, I feel like it's probably more opportunity for people not to receive permits for plumbing than, the other.
Yeah, because the electric is about the same.
Yeah, so electrical, we're struggling a little bit with electrical because we do cover Curry County. We are trying to work to resolve that to maybe at least have Curry County cover their residential part of their electrical, and we only cover the commercial, because it is stretching our electrical inspector pretty thin right now. But we don't really make enough to hire another electrical inspector either.
The contracted services is fluctuating quite a bit, is there a reason?
So that's where that new software is gonna come out of, is contracted services.
But the actual, for the historical for the prior years, from 64 to 24 to 56, 73.
Right, so we had a hearings officer that came out of there for LNG and Jordan Cove. We didn't have a hearings officer, and then we had hired some, temporary, employment people to fill in when we didn't have people hired permanently. So that's kind of why you're seeing that fluctuation happen. So on the building side, again, most of your expenses is gonna come out of personnel, and then your, vehicle expense and your contracted services are gonna be your other two main expenses.
What page are you on now?
We are on 9.
9, okay.
Wow. Made a leap.
So we are budgeting for one new vehicle this year. And then the new software as well, so those are our two main bigger ticket items.
Oh, for everybody here, are you in or out of the general fund?
Out of the general fund.
Just so you know.
We're trying,
All of your column headings, not just a big number at the top. Might wanna change column.
Mm-hmm.
one of the things is the US Bank Converge system that we're required to use that system with the current software. So when we go to a new software, we'll be able to take that money from that to put towards the new software. So, we won't have that anymore.
you guys have a terminal for that Converge, or do you enter them manually?
We don't touch it. The customer has to enter it in themselves, or we have a swiper.
Converge doesn't.
So they have to enter it online, just Point and Pay. That's right. Yeah, we do have two different credit card types that we use, Point and Pay and Converge.
Okay.
Point and Pay charges the customer the convenience fee for using it. Converge charges the county for using the credit card system. If we don't have any questions, we can move on to page 16, which is code enforcement.
Page what?
16, is code enforcement. Code enforcement is made up of one full-time person and then two people at 20% to administer the program. So it's not a very big budget. It's mainly personnel and vehicle expense, and that's the majority of it. So it's a pretty small budget. Do you guys have any questions about code enforcement?
Your inspector?
Do what?
Inspector?
No, he's not an inspector, he's a compliance and land specialist. So he goes out and he assesses the situation, brings in the information, writes up what the code violation is. We send out letters saying, we've reviewed the matter and we believe that you're in violation. Can we get a plan of compliance in place?
So somebody calls us and we complain?
Yes, it is
Okay.
complaint driven. Almost always it's complaint driven unless we find it when we're reviewing an actual application.
Yeah.
A building permit.
Or even a land use application, yeah.
Sometimes when he drives by.
Or if he's,
Violations, that's the other.
if he's in that neighborhood and he's looking at one and the next door has the same type of violation, then he's just gonna hit them both at the same time. We just don't have the staff to be quite as proactive, so we're more reactive. So a couple things that are changing, on the employee side, since we've done this, is we have a permit specialist that we are laterally moving to a planner one, so it's the same pay grade. It's just that we'll put her on the land use track instead of being split between both departments. And then the permit specialist, we're gonna put on the building side and leave them there. We found it was very difficult to cross-training because of the technical of differences between land use and building. So it was better to focus those two positions, one on one and one on the other. So they will have cross-training as far as if somebody comes in the counter and wants to submit an application, they can still walk you through the application process, but to actually review the applications is better if they stay individual.
Am I right in thinking that you're gonna eat into next year's beginning balance this year?
We will eat a little bit into beginning balance. We just took in some money that you guys approved yesterday from the building codes program, which will help offset some of that. And then part of the problem is this year, we didn't have code enforcement worked out well enough. So building and planning paid for the entire code enforcement. And so that really did eat into our
Yeah, that was
balance.
good sum.
Yeah,
Sorry. Yeah.
so that was $150,000 we could have brought forward that we didn't need to
Yeah.
bring forward.
But still, we're not quite to break even, it looks to me. Well,
We're not looking to go into debt necessarily, is that what you're thinking? So the year after one of the things about the software is we have to pay for the software to bring over the other data and stuff like that. So after that, you won't have that, it'll even out.
okay. You've done a lot this year. I don't know how to keep up, Joe.
That's what I'm here for.
You're here to,
See, you got 5,000 in for training.
On which one?
Page 19.
Okay, so code enforcement, this is only our second year with code enforcement, so we really haven't had time to do much for training. We're hoping this next year that we can spend a little bit more time training our staff and internally, especially, and working through processes. One of the largest roadblocks is just trying to figure out when somebody wants to submit for a dwelling, how we can do them all concurrently. And so, we're still teasing that out, but I think that with the new software, that will help us to do that.
Good.
So,
And look, just a couple pages back, under contracted services, the hearings officer, is that an employee or is that a contracted?
that's a contracted person.
Was it last year the same contracted as needed?
Yeah, so we didn't have a hearings officer. So we budgeted for the hearings officer for LNG and Pacific Connector Pipeline. And so we didn't have a hearings officer last year. So the year before would have been the year that we had it. Should have been really high. Last year was a contracted service position before July, so that we could hire somebody permanent.
He's a retired attorney.
No, that's for code enforcement.
No,
That's what I was
not-
referring to, code enforcement.
Yeah,
No.
code enforcement comes out of council's budget.
no, the
That's a
hired,
different hearings officer. Yeah,
the hearings officer for like the LNG, et cetera, is an attorney experienced in land use,
yeah.
one of the top 2 or 3 in the state.
My question regarding
Yeah.
code.
That one comes out of council's budget.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Motion?
Move tentative approval?
Second? Any other discussions, questions? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Health and wellness. And then there's public health after that, of course. But come on up, Dr. Tim. Good morning.
Morning.
Commissioners,
If everybody would introduce themselves to Dr. Tim, who's new.
Stand back.
Greg Solars, I'm just retired engineer, then I live in North Bend.
Retired surveyor, too.
Yeah, retired surveyor.
He's been so retired he forgets. Swen owns multiple businesses in the county. And Bob, and Rod, and John.
How are you?
I'm Rick Osborne.
And Bobby, of course. And the Meg.
it's actually fitting.
Tim is our new public health director, so this is his first rodeo.
Jump on him both feet.
Looks like he's holding out very well, considering the people he has to work with.
He came back.
Came back right.
Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate that.
You can always count on John for one of those.
I always do.
Yeah.
I just know that that's his love language.
Right.
His abuse.
You got that wrong.
Here he goes again.
Dream on.
There it is.
Never stops.
I should say that it was an interesting discussion yesterday.
Yeah, yes it was.
Yes.
Oh, heavens.
That's one way to phrase it. Yeah.
A major lack of understanding, I think.
Yeah,
That went on.
it did, and I appreciate all of your comments yesterday as well. That was very well put, I believe.
Go ahead.
Coos Health and Wellness is a non-general fund department. We are funded primarily by Oregon Health Plan contract with Advanced Health, fees around the services that we provide. We're currently in the process of working with on our Advanced Health contract, so that should be hopefully coming soon, solidifying that.
Can you explain to everybody what Advanced Health is or does or whatever?
Advanced Health is our, yeah, I was gonna say what it was, and then I had a
Coordinated
I know,
Care
I was just trying to
Organization.
slightly.
Our CCO, well, basically, they're in charge of the Oregon Health Plan members for our area, and then we contract with them to provide services around services that they require.
And they receive funds from the state and the feds?
State and feds. They
Okay.
receive
And
funds
then they
from
distribute-
above, and then they distribute it to, they have
Public.
Coos County and part of Curry County as their catchment area. So they work with the Oregon Health Plan members in those areas, and they work with us as the behavioral health, one of the major behavioral health providers for that.
So they, not only for health and wellness, but also for the private providers?
Lots
The
of, almost every
clinics, the
provider
hospitals,
in,
all that?
almost every provider in Coos County is in some way connected with the CCO. As they are the coordinated care organization, so they coordinate care for the Oregon Health Plan.
Thank you.
And OHP is funded by both the state and by
Federal dollar.
It's mostly federal dollars.
mostly federal money that goes to the state. Is there any state money that goes in addition to the federal money they receive?
You know, I don't know exactly, I would imagine that there probably has to be some, but I don't know.
We get funding from the state separately for behavioral health as well. I'm not
So-
sure what Advanced Health gets. I know they get, the federal dollars for sure.
Okay.
But our dollars are both federal and state and designated.
Yes. We're currently looking at renting additional space for some of our teams, as we have, the need for our services has outgrown our office space. We have been creatively playing dominoes with our offices, trying to move people around and creating space for folks, because we've just had to expand our services so much based on that population's need. We provide a number of services for those, for anybody that doesn't know around behavioral health. We work with the most intense cases in the community around homelessness, substance abuse. While we don't provide substance abuse services, we have a number of our clients that have substance abuse issues and severe and persistent mental illness. So it is a very, very big lift for our therapists. We work very, very hard to try to retain our therapists. It is a very, very cutthroat world out there as far as retention and trying to, Bobby's written in the company, around just retaining therapists. It's very, very difficult. It is very hard. So we work very, very diligently to try to retain as many of our staff as possible. Often they will leave and try to go out on their own and come back because they realize that we were a better option. So we're doing everything we possibly can to serve the community and the best way possible.
You have some locked up that you deal with too, I mean, you know, like that gets sent there from the sheriff or from a family member or?
We have forensics teams that work with folks that just came out of jail or the state hospital. We have programs to try and work with folks that are either in the legal system. As far as working within the jails themselves, that's kind of,
I wouldn't call it jail, but you have a place that's like a little hospital kind of a deal where you're.
like residential
Yeah,
services.
yeah,
kind of.
where the people actually live, they have to live there.
Yes, we do. We work
And
with.
they can't leave, they can't leave. I mean, you could petition, you know, a judge or something
Sure.
to do that. You
I don't know that we really have
petition
anything specific to that. I mean, there's the state hospital. We have worked with the state hospital on clients who are, folks from our community, which is close. Locally, we've got residential service places, but that we work with, but they are able to leave. I mean, they live
can
there
walk
primarily,
away.
but
Yeah,
they
can
do.
walk out.
Yeah.
Do you have any guesstimate how many residential units you provide or support?
Well, so, we have 4 emergency beds that are, more short-term that we reserve basically. But then we also have, just a general rental assistance that we help with for the people that are kind of transitioning from, some of them from the state hospital, some of them from, jail, and, we just kind of pass through funds for those that we support, from the state. And it just depends on how many people there are in need at that point and the capacity, so, I think,
Trying to think
like
it's
maybe
changed.
10, I
So
think.
I wanna say it's around 10 beds that we have, but that fluctuates depending.
Yeah.
And we are looking at, opportunities to expand, that in the future. It's just having actual housing to do so.
So, dollars and cents, can go to our, revenue section. There are not too many huge changes in revenue for, CHW. We have had this $2.6 million that is, you'll kind of see it coming in and out because, we received money for some housing from the state that we're holding, and, we've been trying to get used, and it may get used before the end of the fiscal year, but it may not, so it's kind of in both places right now. So, you'll kind of see, like I said, that $2 million dip in beginning fund balance, but then this extra 2.8 in state support. So,
You're on the second packet, I guess,
Oh, I
because
thought
they're
you
not
were-
in the right order, I think. You're in Couth Health and Wellness, Couth Health and Wellness Fund 021 revenue?
yes, I thought.
All
that was
right,
the
hang
first
on.
one,
thank you.
but-
That was,
Okay, sorry. I can do public health if you like.
Okay. Page 1 of 17.
Yes, that's correct.
All right.
You go slow with us. We got a lot of paper here to keep track
No,
of.
that's fine, no worries.
This has been an ongoing problem with every department. We need to make an announcement at the beginning of every single session that please make sure that you got us on the right page, because we're up here going, I don't know what you're looking at.
You're like,
Anyway,
I don't see that.
yeah.
Hate to publicly admit, though, that we're slow.
Well,
So can you-
Maybe you are. The rest of us are okay.
No, clearly it's our fault we put the packets together in the wrong order, so.
Okay.
So yes, we are on Fund 021, page 1 of 17. This is the revenue for Coos Health and Wellness, the behavioral health section. And looking at that, again, if we're looking at the major increases or decreases, the big change is really in, those funds that I was talking about as far as that $2 million that we're not sure exactly when it's gonna get spent, but we're hoping that it gets spent, towards the end of this fiscal year and in just beginning of next, so that's our hope. We are also showing a significant increase in behavioral health fees. They did announce, additional fee increases in October, and we will actually start receiving some additional fee revenue from, Oregon Health Plan, starting in this month. They'll actually backbill and give us extra funds for that, so we do see some potential for increase there. Other than that, I think most things are pretty unchanged. Are there any questions on the revenue?
State support jumped way up.
Yeah, that's where it's going in and out, so I have it like we might defer it and then we're gonna receive it again, right? Cause we have to take it off of our profit and loss.
It's an accounting thing.
It's an accounting thing, thank you, yes. But it's basically right now, that 2 million is sitting in that 4.8 in year-to-date actual, but at the end of the fiscal year, we'll defer that revenue if we don't spend it, because we won't have technically earned the revenue until we spend it. If that makes sense, because it's only for that one thing. And so then it's showing up in the next year too. It's an accounting thing.
Yeah, Bob's making faces at me.
Oh, so can I just say it's Megan's fault?
Oh, yeah, I'm agreed. We had a discussion yesterday, and they finally had to give me a cup that says, I'm right, I'm Bob.
I had to admit I was wrong on the record.
Oh, and I missed it? I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I was gonna, is that on the record?
And the word wrong was actually fully pronounced, completely
Should I trip on it?
audible,
I'm gonna
no
do that.
muttering.
They're choking?
To be fair, it
No.
was a negotiation, so we could go on break.
But there's gonna be a plaque in my office about so by so, says I was right.
Perfect.
Notice it doesn't have his last name, though. There may be other Bobs.
All right, so then moving on, our first, we have two different, departments in CHW. The first one is our administrative. So you'll see the, org chart for the administrative section here. And then if we go to the, it's page 2 of 17 then, is for 021, 1300 local administration. The biggest change we have here is in contracted services, this increase of almost 3 million. We do have some potential legal fees that we are budgeting for here. Also, we are potentially looking into doing business as a community mental health organization. So we have some funding put there for contractors that can give us advice on how to do that. Increased janitorial expenses for the new office space. We have questions on these expenses?
I guess not.
And someone else is paying for it, we don't have as many questions.
It is helpful.
Yes, it's definitely helpful. There are a couple of new positions in this budget as well, just for potential, maybe a new EHR person, which is the electronic health record, so the person that was maintaining that, and then additional accounting staff as well.
Sven?
Is 281 Leclerc, is that your current building, or is that the one across the street?
It's current building.
Are we remodeling?
So we have,
Fairly new?
so we have 281 Leclerc, we have a building, the 305 is also there, but we're also looking at potentially acquiring a new building, or building one, we're not sure yet, so we're kind of just put some money in the budget, just, we're not sure exactly where it will end up landing.
It's, the remodeling is a placeholder for the possibility of the need for expansion for staffing. And the needs that will come from buildings that we may or may not.
You're not looking at remodeling your.
No, I mean, we have our regular standard maintenance, but we're not remodeling the building.
Thank you.
Sorry, yes. Okay, so then if we go to the next section, which should have another org chart for you to see. This is the actual behavioral health folks that do the day-to-day work. And for this section then,
1302?
this is 1302, page
10.
10. You'll see, We did increase our budget, in miscellaneous for relocation and hiring bonuses. It seems to be the only way we are able to recruit anyone at this point. There is not enough mental health providers nationally for the number of positions, and so we have a hiring bonus that's structured that they get some of it up front, but then they have to wait to get the rest of it for 2 years so that we can at least know we're gonna get a couple years out of them. So that's what we're using to recruit folks, and it seems to be working. We have an increase in client supplies. This is funds that we get from Advanced Health, and the only thing we can use them on is to support our clients. And it's all kinds of various things like sleeping bags or tents or socks, yes. It can be if they are behind on their rent and they have a place, we can help them with that. So it's basically anything that can help support the clients. And it's been very positive and helpful, at least Advanced Health seems to think so, and so are planning on continuing that and potentially taking a little bit more money down to us. And the increase in contracted services, we actually, this last year, started contracting with a new entity that has medication providers, and the two that we received from that location have been wonderful and much more stable for our clients, so we have some continuity that they're able to see the same mental health medication provider, and so we're continuing with them. That is our plan for the next year. So
it's very important for our clients to have a long-term provider that can provide some continuity in their med management and understand how versus bouncing one to another as they rotate through. So it's been really nice to work with the Iris group and have two providers that have really been a benefit to us and our clients.
are there any questions on this section?
Just a comment, I was just looking at our personnel costs and the breakdown amongst FICA, PERS, insurance, workers' compensation, and then unemployment. Those very nearly double the cost of employment. Yeah. Remarkable. And PERS is a third of, and insurance is about a quarter of. Yeah.
Insurance is getting more and more expensive, as I'm sure you're well aware.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's huge. Okay. So I'm assuming the next one that you guys have is Reserve Fund 221, is that correct? No, oh, yes.
I have a question, sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it, but under contracted services, potential contracted services line item for last year and this year, that seems kind of vague, or is that just a placeholder for something?
It is just a placeholder, because what will happen sometimes is the state will be, oh, hey, we're gonna give you this money and you need to pass it through to somebody else, or we want you to do this specific program. Or we end up having to just contract with different people to do different things. So it's just a placeholder, really. There's nothing specific attached to it.
You guys just approved a transfer, for instance, into contracted services for this current year because they didn't have enough appropriations in that line item.
Correct.
So it's
Yes.
just, it happens every year, and sometimes the potential amount that they put in there still isn't enough. And then lately, all the contracts go up at a much higher rate than they used to.
We did that instead of appropriating those funds to the jail.
Yes, exactly.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah.
That was in the board meeting.
Seasonal
That was one of the things.
Yeah.
One of the litany.
So is the next one in your packet, Reserve Fund 221? Is that what you guys have next?
We have 9,900 miscellaneous.
I have public health.
Okay, we'll do public health, that's fine. Perfect, public health?
As we mentioned, we have Dr. Timothy Lynch is our new public health director. He's been here for a few weeks.
A month
now.
today.
A month today.
Congratulations.
Time flies, man.
Okay, so the honeymoon's over.
Oh, I made him do a TV interview today. The honeymoon was over. Let's see. We're trying to give him enough time to get up to speed on his new programs. He's got a lot to learn, and he's doing a great job so far. He seems to be a pretty bright person, so we're pretty happy about that. Thank you. Our former public health director, Anthony Arden, did leave us with a roadmap working towards mainly strengthening community relationships, especially around the faith-based communities, and working on sustainability and capacity through our new grant writer, working in conjunction with our Coos County Friends of Public Health organization, which is a nonprofit that specifically focuses on helping our public health department. We had some funding losses. We always do in public health. Public health is always more difficult than anything to keep going, just because the funding for what it is they ask us to do is not usually there. But it's always creative for our public health team to make it work, but they always find a way.
No, you can go ahead.
All right,
Yeah.
just giving you.
I appreciate it.
So you can see he does have a pretty large span of control based on our org chart here. And we go to page 107, Public Health Fund 005. This is the revenue for public health. Overall, you can see not much of a change in total. You do see some shifting. The funds closer to the top that start with 331 are federal funds, and then you get in the middle the state support, which is 334. You see that on the left-hand side as far as numbering. So we do have some shifting, and it's merely the state choosing which bucket of money to pull things out of. So some things that were in federal funds are shifting to state funds for next year. So you'll see those decreases in federal and then the increase in state. And then there are a couple of things that are just ending, and the biggest one is the CDC STD prevention and control. So that's at negative 125,000. That is, the work is still going to continue under some modernization state funds that we have. So you'll see that money, again, has moved into state. And then there's quite a few of, they were COVID funds that have ended, and we won't be seeing those going forward. Are there questions here? Okay. So then if we move on to page 2, we have the expense side. Not really much change here. As far as the staffing goes, we do have a pretty large decrease in contracted services, and that is mainly from two different things. It's temporary help that we had with the COVID funds, mostly people that were doing the phone calls and things like that. We don't have that in the budget clearly anymore. And then also we had some funds set aside for planning. The state required us to do a planning exercise for public health, and that is completed, so we won't need to contract out for that next year. Do we have any questions here?
I have none.
Anybody else?
All right, and then our last department is, should be just 2 little pages. It should say Reserve Fund 221. This fund was created last year, and it was created to hold funds specifically for new software and vehicles that we would need as well. So the plan in the community was to originally have all of the major health centers move to the same medical software called Epic. The hospital, North Bend Medical Center, Waterfall Clinic, they're all on Epic. Most of the state large locations are on Epic as well. So, however, that particular company is delayed moving to our second stage. We don't know when that's gonna come, so we've just put that money aside for that. And then we are anticipating next year having to replace some of our vehicles. Some of our vehicles are getting a little higher in mileage, especially the MRT vehicles. That's our mobile response team. So those are the ones that are constantly on the road responding to calls for mental health issues. And so we do have some additional funds put aside for that. And I apologize, I kind of did page 1 and 2 together just because they're so small.
Yeah, it's fine.
That was confusing. It's my fault. Sorry.
It's an accounting thing.
It is an accounting thing.
Mr.
Okay,
Chair, move
questions?
tentative approval,
Alrighty,
the health and wellness budget.
a second? Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time. Thank you.
Very nicely done.
I just texted the road department, so hopefully they'll be here in a little bit. And then, Megan wants a larger break to see where we're at.
A little bit longer lunch, just so I could rework the beginning balance after the month
Yeah.
was ended.
Okay.
Work on where we're finally at. Yeah, might as well. A little bit.
You know, I'd like to comment, it probably a large part, just me, but
Of course.
the, the, this process over what it was 11 years ago
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
remarkably efficient.
It is.
It just, it's
It
night
was-
and day. Thank you.
Okay.
See ya.
Hang in there.
It was so laborious some years ago, it was just unbelievable.
And it started really kind of with the sheriff's department.
Yeah,
Megan has just brought it to
Jackie
new levels.
reformatted how they did theirs. We had all departments adopt that, and
That
that's
same
kind of the
method, yeah.
present, yeah.
It is,
I can't believe you guys are doing it with different methodologies.
it was kind of before my time, but it is somewhat challenging because not everybody knows Excel as well as others. So, but
And then,
there's not
if
really
I
much.
remember right, Forestry had the totals on top instead of the bottom and stuff, and they're going, huh? They had a different, same kind of layout, but it was in reverse, instead of having the totals at the bottom of each, like revenue or expense.
Well, you can adjust that at the top where you get that top margin.
Well, they would
change all that
just
stuff
flop it
around.
over, it would be better, because it would be the same as everybody else. I guess we'll be in break until road department gets here.
I'll excuse myself then, and.
I guess smoke if you got 'em.
Need to get done, and this is a great time.
Is he on his way, or?
I didn't get a return from Jessica or Paul. I'm gonna have to call him, I guess.
How's it going?
Great.
No answer on his cell phone. Try Jessica.
Well, I was just gonna see if I had time to run across the street real quick.
Run,
Go get your
Okay.
coffee.
run, run.
Should just be 5 minutes.
Yeah, you're, hello, is Jessica around? Well, this is Bob, and we're ready for him for their budget. We're early. They were scheduled for after lunch, and we're actually early. Okay, is Paul around too? Okay, bye. If not, I'll call Parks and have them come. They're in some kind of meeting. Alrighty. Hello, this is Bob. Are you at a place where you can come over? We're early. Well, we want to postpone that, because we're sitting on our thumbs over here, waiting for you guys. Public Works, Risk Management, Waste Disposal. Okay. Well, half an hour? The only ones left is Parks. We're done. So I'll call Parks to see if they can come and have you guys in about half an hour or so. Okay, all right, will do. Bye. They're in a panic mode.
Bob, can you hear me?
Hello, how are you? Can you come over now for your budget? Cool. All right, bye-bye. Parks will be here in 5 or thereabouts.
Is road coming too?
In about half an hour, they got all hung up somehow.
Are we doing everything before? So we're gonna try and do everything before lunch?
Guess so. And come back for a little bit after that.
Yeah, after.
After everything.
Yeah. It's scheduled for 3, so.
We have to wait till 3?
Yeah, but once I'm gonna go, we're gonna take a lunch, probably a little bit longer lunch to give me enough time to rework the beginning balance so I can figure out kind of.
Or you just go over to your office and help you?
Yeah,
Abacus?
sit down there and just stare at me while I try and get it done. That'll help.
Fog up the glass?
Yes.
So that was yes, we have to wait, or no, we don't have to wait?
We have to wait till at least 3,
Hello, we're on short break.
because that's what it was noticed to start. 3 o'clock or after budget. Cause didn't think it was gonna go this fast, and then Bob just moved everybody up before lunch, so.
Yeah, I never dreamed it.
And I didn't get breakfast, and I'm starving, so I'm about to get really pissy. I heard that, Sven. Hi there.
I was just wondering at some
Where's your
point,
coffee? All the way.
Just the county?
no, just.
Okay. Open sign.
Oh, okay.
Like those things.
Now. Sitting here waiting at the moment, so.
because we were watching online. And saw that it was over, and started calling, I said, well, Bob, answer your message. We can go over, yeah.
Yes, we'll go.
Yeah. Checking up on you.
And then I got a text from my office asking if they needed to bring me a snack.
Are you getting hangry? Katie's paying attention.
Don't want to hang me now.
Oh, nice, I saw.
Down the hallway. Yeah, I was telling Bob, we were watching you online and saw that it was over and went, well, heck, I tried to text you, I don't know if you got it or not.
Well, I got this weird, some kind of number thing.
Oh, for us.
Oh, you did bring snacks.
Oh,
I
for
believe it
everybody?
was, it's recorded. I just answered you. Oh, well, thanks.
29.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go.
What?
29, 7,
Even in the rain.
13.
No, I'm
Oh, thank you.
Oh, here it is now. Oh, finally showed up?
It just popped up.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I've gotten several numbers.
Yeah.
I like that one.
All right, look at that.
Delete. You got out of your snack? What?
My keto-friendly snacks.
They were what?
Keto friendly.
Keto friendly?
Keto.
Keto. What is it,
Keto.
pork rinds?
Mm-hmm.
Ah. Did you see where Cheetos and some,
Chipotle.
huh?
Chipotle.
Whatever that is. But Cheetos is owned by, who the hell was it? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, they're gonna start putting, insect protein in their Cheetos and stuff.
Why?
Crickets.
Oh.
It has a name.
Whose idea was it?
Well, there goes their market share.
You know,
I
one
don't-
time when I was going to Pendleton, we stopped in at Troutdale at one of those truck stops that, they had, what were they, cheese flavored crickets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were dried crickets with
Wow.
like cheese, kinda like, on them. Yeah, they were actually, I mean, they're crunchy.
Yeah, yeah.
Either way, you couldn't taste the cricket. Why not?
Wow.
It wasn't too bad.
Little known fact, people who are allergic to shellfish can't eat insects because they're so closely related.
A cheetah powder. ACHETA is crickets. So if you see that on an ingredient list, that's what it is.
Cheetah?
A cheetah.
Powder?
Yeah. ACHETA.
Anyway, you find me passed out and wherever on the floor, ambulance come get me.
Yeah. Call the ambulance. Luckily, the fire hall's pretty close.
Hmm?
The fire hall's pretty close with the ambulance, so it's not
Yeah,
far away.
yeah. Rick went over to get a coffee. There he comes, I think. Yep, there he comes.
Make it with no breakfast. No coffee. How are we surviving this?
I don't know.
You don't want me with no breakfast, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I just
As
love
soon as
that.
you leave, we show up.
Yeah. I wake up.
Sorry to
it's
keep
like-
you waiting.
Oh,
It's
no.
usually an hour or so before we eat breakfast because we have our sanctuary coming out. But I'm like, I'm into the peanut butter first thing. I gotta have some peanut butter, otherwise I'm like nauseous.
It's just part of my day. I definitely will. If I don't have something to eat for breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay, we're ready, whenever you are. We're having a conference, right?
Registration went off.
All right. Okay,
All right.
go ahead, Craig.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a meeting in the afternoon on the schedule. All right, you have our page one of our budget here, for revenue, for the parks.
Page 1 of 10, revenue for parks. Thank you for confirming that.
I've been watching.
They were watching online.
Doing my
Nice.
recon here, yeah.
Right on, right on. Good plan.
Yeah. Okay, our beginning balance is gonna be a little bit less than what it was last year. Down by 200,000? Up, I'm sorry. Up by 200,000. More. I'm looking at the wrong number. Park fees, yeah. The only really big thing, with the, park fees, we're estimating them to be down a little bit due to, I think, fuel prices and, people traveling from out of state. We get a lot of people from out of state, also making one trip instead of 2 trips a year, you know, and so forth to the parks. And then our ODOT RV registration, it's leveling off, we think, because of when we had the COVID problem, a lot of people were able to go camping. So a lot of people were buying RVs and going and getting out, you know, and into the open air and so forth. So we had a bit of a jump in the last couple of years, and now we're thinking the possible registration maybe 410 instead of 400,000. It'll be down just a little bit from last year, just leveling off on RV registrations.
Okay.
Other than that, there's no real changes. Interest earnings, I want to thank the keeper of the
Excuse
coin
me.
over here for that. Thank you very much. That's up 18,000. Yeah, our interest earnings. Okay.
Are we still working on the Laverne Park Trail? Is
Yes. Yeah, that is through December of this year.
Okay.
We'll have it done. We have the sidewalk roughed in right now. We're waiting for a little bit better weather to pour concrete.
So
and
this
do
is
our-
kind of the access to the trailhead part?
Yeah,
or,
yeah. Eddie's pretty much got all of the
That's what I-
trail constructed. He's gonna have to come back. We have a few slough off places where he's gonna have to come back in this summer when it's better weather. He can't work on it now because it's all dirt trail, so.
Boy, some of the pictures you took of that were just beautiful.
Yeah.
Is it a nice walk?
Yeah, and it's fairly easy. There's an upper loop that's a little more difficult, but not super difficult at all. You know,
Speak
we
for
have
your-
people actually walking it now.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, they're actually using it, yeah.
Good.
Uh-huh.
Tammy, what do you think about it?
I haven't tried it out yet.
Same here.
I bet you I can do it. How long is it?
Just short of a mile. No, not bad at all. One way, you know, but there'll be 2 trailheads, one on each end. So if you don't wanna walk back the other way, because you walk the lower loop and come out and then go back and walk the upper loop and come, you know.
Oh.
the other
I
way.
could definitely do it. I did the Humbug Mountain one.
Oh, yeah, then
That
you can
one
do
about
this.
killed me.
Yeah.
That's a death approach right there, yeah.
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 With
Yeah.
humbug, you get up there and then you can't see much.
I
That's the
know.
problem, yeah.
I know, yeah.
They opened it up, didn't
Yeah,
they?
I think they cut a bunch of trees and
Yeah.
you can see now.
Oh,
Yeah.
good, yeah.
I
You
haven't
couldn't
been
see
up
south
there,
at
though.
all.
Yeah,
Before
no.
You can see south a long ways, yeah. Okay, any questions on our revenue?
Nope.
Looks good.
Okay. Next page 2 is pretty much where all of our, everything's going out and in, all of our, we have insurance benefits, of course, that went up 11,000, you know, that's just normal, we can't change that. Actually, it's down,
Says
I'm sorry, I
down.
keep thinking red is up, sorry, Tammy. Red is down, Craig, yes, okay. And then our workers' comp, when they're at, that's up just a little bit, but not much. Regular wages, most all of this is from step and contract increases. There's no, pay, you know, actual raises or any of that kind of stuff. We haven't done any of that, so, we'll be up, right, 20,700, 715, yeah.
Same amount of employees.
Same amount of employees, yep, everything's the same. The next go down to, tourism promotion. That will be down, thank you, because of the Charleston merchant, or the Charleston tax is added in there now. It's at 9.5, and 10 Mile, we have a 7.5 tax, and plus the state's 1.5. These are all transient taxes. That are mandated.
So last year was the first year that we estimated for that Charleston, so we just estimated high, so
Yeah.
that's why it's down this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
10M.
Insurance premiums, utilities, we're thinking that that's not gonna be as much as the increases as we anticipated. They're only 4% with Pacific Power and Coosa and Curry are both 4% increases, which were actually less than usual. So we'll have a little more. Then our contracted services, which is an O&M, our operations maintenance grant for seasonal that we get from the ATV committee. That is up. Okay, then materials and services total, capital outlay, equipment, I have in there for one tractor and one pickup to replace a 2001 vehicle that we have now that's turning into a maintenance nightmare.
What kind of a tractor or
We're
what
looking
size
at-
are you looking at?
Actually, Kubota gave me the best price because they have, they call it national sales. So they give us like $5,000 off.
Wow.
The regular price, yeah. And so we're looking at just over 30,000 or so for a tractor, 50 horse, with the front end loader and everything on it.
That seems like a pretty good price.
Yeah, it is. And we just Kubota out of Roseburg there. I checked with Brim Tractor. They're the New Holland or Fords, and they're a bit more. Everybody wants to add on more for the attachments. Your front end loader's an attachment. It doesn't come with the tractor. You have to add that on to it. And then also we have grapples for our tractors, but they require a hydraulic attachment, hoses that run all the way up to the front,
Mhm.
because you can quick connect them, and so you can run the grapples. So that's another extra thing.
Is that for grabbing brush and?
Yeah. When we cut brush and everything, we can just go right into the pile and grab it and throw it right in the trailer instead of have to hand load it. All the
Pretty
limbs
handy.
and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you already secure that contract, commit to it, or? where
That
we
was
at?
the quote that she gave me for my budget purposes.
Okay.
In last month or so.
Did you happen to check with the farm,
Yeah,
Myrtle
yeah.
Point LNS?
LS tractors.
Yeah.
We have a couple of those tractors already. And we have one that's does pretty well, but the one that we use a lot at Laverne, we've had a lot of problems with it.
Really?
Yeah, it's been in the shop a lot. They've redone the wiring harness on it. It keeps going into limp mode all the time. It's their new burning system for the diesel. It has to, and that thing will sit there and it doesn't automatically burn anymore. It's completely done. And we have, for a half an hour, that thing's running at 2,800 RPM to burn this off. It's burning a quarter tank of fuel just to do the burn. Instead of doing the burn while you're using it, like it's supposed to work, it doesn't work that way. And they can't figure out why. So I want to actually get rid of that one if I can, because it's constantly going to the shop.
Yeah.
And they've replaced the turbo in it, the wiring harness in it, almost everything but the engine. They've replaced the scrubber, the burnout thing, the whole 9 yards, and it just doesn't work right.
Yeah, okay.
Unfortunately, because we bought stuff there from them. In the past, we've had a couple tractors.
Yeah.
And mowers and so forth, or plow mowers.
Yeah. Nice to keep the business in the county if you can,
Yeah.
but if you can't, you can't. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right.
True. Okay, then our major repair and improvements, that's up 71, because we had to put more money into our Laverne water system, because we have two systems at Laverne that state mandates that we have to basically replace, because our system is obsolete, and we can't give them all the information that they require with our old system. So, other than that, our big, and I guess our carryover, and would be 30,658. Operating contingencies, 30,000, yep, that's the same one, that's our contingency. It's 157,000 in the total for all that. And then the rest of them just basically explain all of the second sheet, all of our rest of our paperwork in here. There's explanation, we broke down each line item and put it on a separate piece of paper for you to look at for any reasons that may be.
You don't need to go over.
Yeah, we don't need to really go over those, that's just for your information. That's all we have.
Where are we in the new restroom at Riley?
DEQ has finally gotten, our paperwork, our permit has finally gotten to Coos Bay. Yeah, and we have Civil West hounded them about once a week to try to get them for that plan review. Because as soon as we get the plan review, then, then we know if they want to do changes, or anything else that we have to do to it. And I'm hoping to, right now we're on a timeline, probably start construction in late September and October, because that's when our downtime is, and we can't, because Sean at Civil West put in for us to start construction in July, and I told him, no, we can't do that in the middle of, that's like ants of people running around there. I mean, you can't do a major construction project with that many campers and ATVers especially, because they're everywhere. Anywhere they can go, they'll go. So yeah, our timeline is positive start construction mid to late September.
How are your efforts to improve drainage at Riley Ranch?
We put
new
those
marking or new.
Actually, the D-loop, we put the 2 new culverts are in now.
Yeah.
And they are helping tremendously.
Good.
We have a couple of puddles still because the gravel in the sites are holding the water back. So we're going to just cut little ditches basically in some of the gravel, so the water will transfer to the culvert or to the catch basins.
Good.
But yeah, we did it helped out a lot. We were able to open that up for spring break and get people in there. Yeah, and people were happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, John and I have been talking for years now about having some kind of hedges at 10 Mile in between the campsites.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some kind of laurel or whatever. Might think about doing that in December, January, February, somewhere when it's dormant, and
Right.
get them planted, and then they would take off in the spring.
See if they'll take off.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have, it would certainly make it nicer, but the more I look at that, the more I worry whether we have room.
Well,
Those spaces are so crowded together.
Laurel can get pretty thick.
It would give them some shelter from the wind and stuff. Make it a little nicer.
Seems like up in Powers, they wound up cutting it all back because it was hitting the trailers.
Yeah.
It takes some maintenance over the years.
Yeah, all the huckleberries and all that stuff.
Seems like
I got the idea from that one on the south of Empire going to Charleston there they got an RV
the point?
campground.
Yeah.
I don't know which one they
They use
That-
Escalonia.
It's
though,
on the
not
east side of the
Laurel,
highway.
but
Oh, on the east side,
And it's got this whatever planted there.
Escalonia.
Makes
it
it
does
look
the same
really
thing
nice.
though.
Well, they have some, and I've been looking at
Pyramidalis.
panels. They're like 8-foot
Pyramidalis.
wide panels by
Straight
6
up.
foot high, and they're made out of
More
cedar.
expensive though.
And they have the first 5 feet, then the last foot is lattice that goes on the top, and they're 8-foot chunk, and they're already pre-made, and they're less than $100 for them, and they're all cedar, and it all takes a couple of 4x4s to hold them up. We put a couple of 4x4s and if you do 16 feet, between there, that'd be a pretty good barrier, like it's, 6 feet high.
That might be something to look at.
Yeah, something to look into. so-
Coat them with that stuff that doesn't allow paint to stick on them.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going?
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Exactly.
There's a coating you can spray on it, and the paint just rolls down to the ground. Won't
Oh.
allow it to stick.
Like a silicone paint? or
Sounds like
something?
silicone, yeah.
Well, no, it's something else, and it is hydrophobic
Huh.
coating. It's amazing.
I heard they were using some of that in San Francisco on the storefronts and stuff because the homeless were.
Yeah, it doesn't allow it to stick at
defecating and
all.
stuff, and so they use that easy, just washes away really easy.
And the paint just rolls up and goes down like rain right to the bottom.
Yeah.
Of course, that other stuff too, what do you call it? It was advertised forever on TV. You float a boat by putting a big hole in it. Yeah, that spray stuff? They
Yeah.
won't allow paint to stick to it either.
Oh, I'll be darned.
But if you want to paint it, you've got to grind it all off.
Oh, wow.
There's disadvantage there too, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you ever get the little cabin out on the point at
No, we did not. They kept canceling my order
oh,
all the time. So we just finally, I gave up on it after the third time they canceled it on me.
good for you.
Yeah, so the heck,
They discontinued the whole
And-
cabin thing
oh.
finally, didn't they?
yeah, then finally they're not selling them at all
Not doing
anymore, those little huts. But I'm still looking into different options and stuff for something out there. It would be nice to have something out there on that point.
The other thing I was wondering, if you come there to fish, is there room in each campsite to have your boat and a camper?
Not really, no.
Yeah,
Only a few sites.
Right.
Can do that.
you take almost two sites.
A lot of people use the overflow.
They use the overflow parking area to park
your
their
boat.
trailers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be-
on their boats, yeah.
I'd be more inclined to leave my kids over there than my boat.
That's not allowed.
I didn't talk about my wife. But you know that, I mean, I don't know how many people come to want to fish and stay, but it would be an impediment to wanting to do that, knowing that your boat would be over all by itself, in Lakeside,
Yeah,
especially.
And we have allowed people, to be on the north side of the campground
Seen
there.
that.
Where to park right there, they could park their boats right there. Or, we have ATVers that actually use that park too, because of the new roadway, they can get to Spin Rail from there.
Oh.
And, so we have ATVers that use that, it's getting more popular actually
Nice.
now, which has helped a lot with that new, access that the ATVers have from Lakeside to Spin Rail.
What?
Yeah, they ride on the road.
Yeah.
Yep.
From Riley to Spin Rail?
No,
Lakeford.
10 mile.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, not from mine, yeah.
I was back on Riley still.
Oh, sorry.
Because you were talking about the lake and.
Yeah. Yeah, no, yeah, they can go from there. Well, you can get to Spin Rail from Riley if you go out on the dunes, you go.
Yeah, of course, I know that, but I thought maybe it was something new.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing new, nope.
Yep. Yeah, the other one is pretty popular now.
Mm-hmm.
And we own that 160 acres out there, kind of southwest of Spin Rail.
Yeah, yep. And we got a little place there along the
And we own
outlet too.
We own the 60-foot right-of-way out there. We don't have to ask the Forest Service.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah. If you didn't know.
No.
It goes all the way to the beach.
Yes, yeah, I've seen that on the
Goes
surface map.
from Spin Rail out to the 160 and then continues on around the south end of the lagoon, clear to the beach.
Mm. Yeah, there's a.
The county has that?
Yep.
Yep.
You know why I know?
Yeah, on the south side of the outlet there.
Because you've been here forever.
Well, that, but my uncle used to own Spin Rail.
Oh. All right. Do we want to do our
Another one for Bob.
risk management.
We should.
Also to get that out of the way, because we were
Yeah.
scheduled to do that after our budget.
Let's do it.
Yep,
Will, can
let's
we
do
have-
that.
Can you handle that? Okay.
So, I need a motion for the parks budget.
I'll move it.
Do you have a second?
Second?
All righty. Any other discussion about parks budget? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on to
Our prioritize
Prioritize
risk management.
risk
yeah.
management for parks.
Yeah, all of our, I put the top priorities of all the parks in the first columns, and then we broke it down into each park after that. So like I said, the Laverne, we gotta get that state mandated water system in. We have two of them actually we have to do, because there's West Laverne and Laverne, where we make our own water for the parks.
So priorities 1 through 7 are budgeted for
Yes.
this year, right?
Yes, all this is in the budget, yep,
Okay.
yep. And all the grant, the Laverne Trail, a remodel of our restroom, we're paving for Powers and Ambassador. And roofs, which is a constant thing that we're doing, or it seems like we're re-roofing 1 or 2 buildings every year. We've got a lot of buildings. And then our picnic tables, we need to continue to replace our old wooden broken
Mhm.
tables, which is a constant maintenance thing. And then we just broke down Powers, we have sidewalks, 3 areas. Most of these are just little minor cracks, or the ground has shifted, the roots have lifted, the sidewalks, so we'll have to go in and fix those a little bit.
Mhm.
Roofs, we just explained that. The dike repair, yeah, we're gonna have to get on that probably within the next couple of years. I just got a state report back from them, and they did say that would it be the southeast there where it runs along the railroad grade, that area, up towards the south end there, it's starting to narrow.
Oh.
From wave action, and so forth, and that's their big priority, is to get that fixed. And I've been trying to work with, and haven't got much of a response back from the USDA varmint control about the nutria that are in the park. There's a lot of them in the pond, and the problem is we've tried trapping them, but people go around with sticks and stick sticks in the traps, and you can't catch anything. So these guys, they actually use 22s with silencers and night vision, and come in. They've been working for, I guess, the city of, Paul told me, the city of Coos Bay, and their wastewater down there going out past East Side, and for going out towards that direction. No, on the other side. East Side. East Side, Coos Bay. Yeah, like you're going on Coos River. Yeah, they got their lagoons down there and stuff. Yeah, the city does. They've been working in there. Yeah. Okay, then, Laverne, yeah, we gotta get that water system's a big thing, and trail, we'll get that finished up this year. And then just a little bit of sidewalk repairs. Bassendorf, the remodel of the bathroom in B-Loop. It's an old building that we can actually, remodel, but we need to put new partitions in, new vanities, sinks, mirrors. We now have like group showers, and we're going to put a wall in, another door, so they have individual showers. So it's not just men's and women's, anybody can use those 4 showers at any time, because they'll have a lock and everything on them, so it won't be just, going into the men's side, there's 2 showers, and you gotta shower together. Now there'll be individual showers, and people will be able to everybody, kids, men, women, everybody will be able to use any one of those showers. And then, of course, new ventilation system, to get rid of all this steam and all that stuff from them. And paving, wanted to finish up that paving that we started 2 years ago, and get that done. Roofing, new pedestals. Riley, we got our grant there, we're working on now with the, it should be D-loop, not C-loop, restroom. I'd like to put a playground set in there, because we had to tear our old one out because the insurance company didn't like our home-built system we had there. It has to be manufactured, I guess, certified or something, so. Because there's, families bring kids with them and they're not always out on the dunes and they need to have something, more to do there. If they have a little playground for the kids to play on, that would be a big plus for there. And the fencing and barriers, we're still working on that. We did some fencing, a lot of fencing and stuff up there, rail fencing, and we got rid of all the old logs that were on, other logs, stacked up for barriers, because if you don't do that, people are gonna ride everywhere. So you have to channel them to the trail and keep them on the roadways, or if not, they'll wanna wander. Landscaping, in the new D-loop, John and I discussed this a little bit. I wanna put going into that D-loop, I wanna put a 2 to 3 high landscape brick along there so that people are not riding up on that berm and kicking all the sand down into the road. So, and that will also keep them channeled right into the campground.
Unless they cut the corner too sharp and
Sure.
run over the block wall.
Yeah.
Along with spikes, huh? No, never mind.
Yeah. In 10 Mile, I pretty much, I left the new campsites at number 1 and utilities, but that's gonna be hard to do, to get that rotomilling, that concrete and asphalt that's out there. And, I would like to, I'd like to put some pull-throughs in out there, but the problem is getting utilities to them, because that's an old mill site, and there's so many different chunks of concrete underneath the asphalt and cable, and there's just a whole bunch of stuff in it. When we put that sewer line in there, we hit about anything a mill could have in it that was in that ground, and it was very difficult to get, especially out in that area, to get utilities out to the campsites if we were trying to do that. But it's something I'd like to look into do. We did put remove campsites. That was because we were gonna put new campsites in, so we were gonna take every other campsite out so people would have more space between there, the campsites, because right now they are really compact. To get 45 sites in that little area, we shrunk her down pretty good to get them in there. Yeah, because they're making 30 instead of 20 because they're really small. And of course, our camping hut, the restroom, we're constantly doing upgrades on it. We just replaced 2 floors in the restrooms that were rotted. And every time one of our bulbs or whatever go out on those old metal halides and sodium vapor ones, we're going to LED to help save with utilities. And so each one goes out, we do that. Small parks, the Rick Higgins, we use only for reservation only type thing, and it's pretty much closed because of safety with the rock slides and so forth in there. Verona, it's open on a reservation also, but we do need to, the bathrooms are those old wooden vault toilets, they need to be replaced. Or Verona does have the old Dora School playground in it, but it's starting to deteriorate pretty fast. We had to remove the slide. The not teeter-totters, but the merry-go-round is pretty much rusted, to the point where it can't be fixed anymore. And so there's some little things. Nasika, it's open. Dan's up there. We brought in $200 last month, so that's better than nothing at a primitive park, so. But we just need to constantly keep the roadways up, rock the roadways and so forth, and do some, regrading. Okay, small parks day use, Johnson Mill Pond, we got a little bit of tree maintenance. I got some dead trees in there that probably should come out, some alders that are pretty much gone, and And Paul made a discovery for me here that's one of their maintenance roads, so they're able to help us out on the grading, and every time when it floods, because that thing goes underwater in the wintertime, because it's right next to the Coquille River. And so he's helped us out there cutting the brush back and grading, which very appreciative, very appreciative. Judah Parker, it's another, all these have the old restrooms in them. They need to be redone, and a little bit of tree maintenance. There's a big cedar tree sits right in the middle, constant limbs breaking off and that sort of thing. Cherry Creek, Ham Bunch, Cherry Creek. We need to widen that approach, but it's pretty tough because there's those old myrtlewood trees in there, and our entrance is right between two myrtlewood trees. And so we either completely move that entrance into it, or we take out one of the trees. And I think that's part of the Myrtle Grove, part of the historic thing there, along with Laverne is, and so is Mesika, with the historic Myrtlewood. Bennett, it's underwater. It's basically just a roadway out to an old fishing hole that people don't hardly use anymore. And it floods, it's underwater in the wintertime, along with Dement's the same way, their roadways. And a lot of my trees at Bennett are maple trees and some myrtle, but the maple trees are starting to rot out in the middle and becoming pretty hazardous in there. Some of these trees are 6 to 8 feet through, but they're rotting in the middle. 3 feet the inside of them is rotted out, and then they're starting to die in the top, and so that that they're on their way out. Unfortunately, they don't live forever. Boat ramps. We gotta replace we lost another section this flood season at Arago, the handrail along the boat ramp. We're gonna have to go. Because I put install fence along steep embankment. That's between the two, whether I'm going to replace that handrail or just put a fence up. But the handrail is nice because it's metal and it withstands a lot of the debris from the river when it floods in there. Because that thing gets, I've counted 7 block high in the bathroom of water, flood water. There's a line in there, so that's a little over 3 feet, up in clear in that parking lot, completely underwater.
How much use do we get is made of the Arago?
Arago?
Yeah.
We actually, I had a guy call me here wanting to know when we were gonna clean it out, because a lot of the striped bass fishermen use it. And they seem to use it a lot now. The salmon, of course, is gone. There's a few steelheaders in there, plus there's, you got the smallmouth and the stripers. So they use it a lot, May through September. It's used, there's 2 or 3 rigs, a day in there. And actually, when the Fish and Wildlife, when they were shocking the smallmouth bass, they were using that ramp to launch their boats for their study that they were doing with the shocking with them and the Indians were doing. They were using that ramp.
How far is it from the Coquille City Park here in town up the Arago?
Oh, probably, say 10 miles maybe.
Oh, that's quite a ways.
Yeah. And Myrtle Point has a boat ramp, and that's the last one up the river there. Ours is the second one up.
But you can't get down from Myrtle Point down, because it's too shallow.
There's influence of the north and the south. No, you can't.
Only good in the wintertime.
Yeah. Better have a jet boat or something to get up there.
Yeah, that's about it, or a drift boat coming down.
Yeah. And then Coquille, it's another one that floods, and we need to, replace the docks in there. The parking lot's starting to break up a little bit just because of the amount of water that sits on it for so much amount of time. And just keeping the willows trimmed back in the tree maintenance. The Riverton, we have a culvert that comes out and floods our parking lot, and I need to get a French drain or bring something in to convert that out to our other culvert that goes underneath the road and out to the river. possible pave and stripe. Docks, you know, could be a possible replacement. Those are the old 5-foot docks, are pretty narrow, and person gets out on them and they're pretty rocky. Rocky Point, we have a hole on the upriver side of it that we fill with rock every year after we clean it out, you know, so people can launch there. And it's just something that needs to possibly be repaired. And I'd really like to get that realignment of the docks. Can't remember her name, Janine, not Jennifer, came down from the Marine Board, and we looked at it about realigning it, putting the docks going downriver instead of upriver, because that one goes down and it makes a corner. And that catches a lot of debris, and you get a lot of wave action and the tide action on those floats and the way they were designed. But we have to replace also the piling that goes in there too, because everything has to be metal now that goes in. You can't use wood in the water anymore. That's the key.
I have an expert's opinion that if you do that, you're gonna screw up the other side of the river.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Docks floating on the water.
The other way it is now, when the dock sticks out at an angle from the launch itself, river coming down, everything sucks right in there.
Yeah, yeah, you get debris inside of there. We've had logs caught underneath there, and, you know, their limbs poked up through the dock when when water goes back down again, because you don't see the log in there. Yeah, we've had that problem with that one especially.
Yeah, it's just a collection arm. Yep.
Debris booms or something. Doris Place, we on our roadway ed, the road's starting to, the shoulders are starting to go away on it, so we'll need to do some of that and then repair some of the fencing between us and the property owners. That's a constant thing that we do. Myrtle Tree, we need to repair docks 3 and 4. They're starting to get pretty bad. Saunders Lake, parking lot can be paved and replace those restrooms with the CXT building like we just put at Laverne. Rick Higgins, more, of course, dock repair. All these need dock repair. And we got some concrete curbing. We got some islands there that need to be either taken out or the curbing needs to be replaced. And then, of course, you know, there's the old fishing pier. We're not going to have, hopefully not have that anymore. Bradley Lake, we have gorse control, and we have a steep embankment there that we'd like to put a fence around just so people don't walk down in there and go down into that part of it. It's just a swamp down in there anyways, but it keeps people from going to places where they shouldn't go. And then, of course, that's a long roadway to get in there, and we constantly have trees falling and breaking, and so it's just tree maintenance along the roadways that we need to keep up on. Other than that, that's it.
You know, just the last comment. Each one of those little parks doesn't seem like a big job to look after, but when you think of all of them, you gotta maintain the restrooms.
Yeah.
And you gotta it's just a lot to it.
Parking
And
lots, the lawns, you gotta mow them, you gotta weed them, first of them.
at the end of the year, it's huge.
You gotta clean them out every year from silts, you know,
Yeah.
to build up in the floods, so plug them up.
There's no revenue associated with most of them, and so the bigger parks have to support them, and then and frankly, because it's an embarrassment. I mean, there's just no way we can afford to keep those things the way they should be kept. Can you imagine the restroom at Parkersburg? Even if it were nice, you might get 1 or 2 people using it a year, but you still gotta clean it up. It's just, and I don't.
Out there. And you gotta pump them once a year too, you know, so you have the septic fee, you know, because you have to pump them out, you know, keep them cleaned out.
Yeah,
Okay, do I have a motion for Parks Risk Management?
Move approval tentatively.
A second?
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty, thank you.
Good job, you guys.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
All right, Public Works. Come on down.
See, you brought the new streamlined version of Robert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't
It's
even
looking
recognize
great,
you when
Robert.
you came in, Robert.
Wow. Boy, you're really
Yeah.
working on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
I need to talk to you about how you get that done.
I wondered who the guy was that came through the door for a while.
Yeah, me
Then all of a
too.
sudden I realized.
Yeah, same thing.
We're hoping to do solid waste first.
Yeah.
Solid waste first. Yeah, what do you got? Solid waste or? Okay, cool.
Figured it was a good time to make a lot of money.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Good, yeah. Well,
Good.
I'll give you guys a little background, we got the budget tonight here, like I did last time, is that fine? Good. So in the first quarter of '24, we saw a little bit of growth out there at solid waste. At the disposal site, visits were up by 5%, dollars were up by 11%. We're seeing a little bit of decrease in commercial, and I just think that's just because, the economy right now, so. But I think everything else is still looking good. Still seeing an increase, so that's great news. I think that's all I've got to cover for there. Beginning balance, you can see I'm going in, trying to go in with the tightest budget as I can, so that is, I'm fingers crossed we go in at 3.216586. We're trying to get a roof this year, so. we're trying to go in this time. And I asked Megan, when's the last time we can revise, cause you know, the closer we get to July, the more can be more accurate on our beginning balance. Wanna try to get as much money as we can in that
Did you get an answer?
mid-May. It's not
Yeah.
So franchise fees, I did increase that a little bit by 15,000. The franchise fees is 5% of gross receipts, of any, from our, like, Waste Connections, Coos Bay Sanitation, Wadsworth and J&L are now Waste Connections. So that's of their gross in the county. So I'm coming in at 250,000 hopeful for next year. Waste disposal fees, bump that up by 200,000 this year, hoping to get in 3.1 million. We will not get a DEQ rebate this year, or I guess we're not named an economically stressed county this year, unfortunately.
right.
We
That
were
makes
just
sense.
notified, I think, last week about that. Who they're considering.
Yeah, what?
If we're not one of them.
Yeah.
Cause there's 9. I think, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd be curious to know.
Yeah,
I can email and ask.
yeah. Would you please? Because you're going, huh?
All right, and then services to county departments, that's the HHW lead, we get 10%, receipts there. And miscellaneous, keeping that the same at 2,000. Interest earnings,
bump that up to 50,000, so up from 35 last year. And waste disposal reserve, we've got 195,686, and that's just our closure costs, what I'm projecting. Usually it's
Okay.
way under that, but it's in there. Next page, expenses. One area I did increase for this year is overtime. We're kinda on the verge. We've got, some guys that are, they're maxed out on vacation and things like that, so it kind of puts us, in a bind at some point. So I did bump that up by 5,000 to 20,000. Other than that, no other changes for our, personnel out there for this year. Jump down to supplies. I'll just kind of go through. There's no changes for our supplies. We still have some money in there for bird deterrent, office supplies, postage, PC scale support, repair and upkeep, safety supplies. Equipment repair and maintenance, no change there. We did get a new loader last year. Tires seem to be cheaper for that. It doesn't go through them as fast, so fingers crossed, we can continue to keep that under 50,000 each year. Permits and rents, that's gonna stay the same. DEQ permits, weight scale permit. Less than 5,000 equipment, we're just keeping that there. There are some security cameras, that we would like to upgrade here in the future, and then we always have some money in there in case our scale needs some repair or maintenance.
So maybe you didn't get the word, we're just hopefully doing the major changes up and down.
Okay.
So-
I have a, sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a question about security cameras. What is the mechanism of the internet service out there? It's wired, I guess, yeah.
DFN.
The security cameras, they're real-time monitored, or are they only storage?
There's a TV in the sheriff's office, and theoretically, they should be able to monitor them in real time.
So those cameras go wireless to the office there, and then cabled from there out.
And technically, 4 of the cameras are wired to the office. We have 8 total. 4 are wired to the office, and 4 are wireless.
Okay.
And they go out from the office.
And then the main office has Gold Coast Security alarm system in there.
Okay.
Stored too, I mean, they're live on the screen, but they're stored as
Both.
well.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just hit major changes. Our opt utilities just a little bit, but nothing major there.
Contracted service?
What?
Contracted service. 3601.
Yeah, I'm not there yet, sorry.
Oh, we skipped ahead.
So contracted services, the major increase there is waste hauling. I increased it by 300,000. I just never know what Phil's gonna do. We did hear, Waste Connections, they're gonna continue the current contract for another year, so that's good news. I was worried that they might increase it or wanna change it, so.
The other good news we have is that, and dispels one of my greatest concerns about solid waste, is that when, and it's happened now, Waste Connections has purchased the 2 of the 3 remaining independent garbage collection services in the county. And the 3rd we never got, we didn't get anyway, and the other 2 come to us, and I was afraid they'd take them to Coos Bay, but they've chosen to continue coming to Beaver Hill. Yeah. So, that's good news.
That continues.
Yeah, been hunch it will, but it hasn't changed yet. I don't know why it wouldn't change. You have to keep in mind, I think, that they are our franchisee, and I think they might respect that relationship by, in part, continuing to work. And in part, it would overcrowd their facility in Coos Bay, I think.
Which is already overcrowded.
Yeah.
They already have a capacity issue.
Yeah.
So I think think that was really the only change. Cost allocation went up a little bit, so there's that increase. Waste oil, I threw in there too, in case we gotta haul that off. We're trying to haul it off through household hazardous waste. I think that's it on there. We removed the code enforcement officer, so that was a $55,000 change there. And I know we'll be discussing that more as we go on into the following year. Correct, Alan?
I hope so, yeah.
Alright, and then we'll jump down to capital refurbishment, so that bumped up by 1.275, and that is because I'm trying to get our pit roof replaced. So fingers crossed, when we put that out for bid here in a couple months, that we come in under 3.5. So jump over to page 8, waste miscellaneous. So every year we try to put 200,000 in our waste disposal reserve fund for our closure fund. Operating contingency, I did pull money from there to put into the roof, so I only have $132,064. Megan, I do have a question. If the roof goes over 3.4, 3.5 that I have in there, should I put that 132,000 into that roof, or can I use that? We just have to go back to a meeting.
Yeah, we just have to
use
do
all
a
of it.
resolution, as long as it's less than.
I always like to have money in our contingency, but I wasn't sure. I wanted to make sure if I needed to pull it out in case we needed to use it, so. Questions on that?
Nope.
So jump over to closure operations, page 9. I have no major changes. This is just to maintain our Beaver Hill ash trenches, our Jonay closure site, and abandoned site. We did hire a new environmental specialist to help us with that, and so you'll see a little increase on contracted services, but nothing major going on there. Questions there?
Who did the plan for you on the roof?
HPE. I'm gonna be discussing with them, we need to do a revision on similar model.
Those last?
Yes.
Page 14 now? Page 14 now?
Yes, 13.
Oh, 13, okay.
So waste disposal reserve, like I said, no major changes there, we should have 1.9,081,000 towards financial assurance. Getting there, slowly. So I put 57,000, that should be in black, sorry. Increase. We still have 22 years for Beaver Hill and 23 years for Jonay.
Plenty of time to get it right.
Yes. Let's just hope their numbers are what we need, right? Okay, page 14, household hazardous waste. So give a little background here. Our household hazardous waste fee is $3.27 per ton of garbage, and that is in Curry County and Coos County combined fund this program. So no really major changes here. Beginning balance $765,856. Have our fees gonna be the same as last year, and then interest a little bit. Something that is kind of new to this program, we dropped it down from 8 events to 4 events a year. 3 at Beaver Hill and 1 in Curry County.
Well, the ones in the middle are the bad ones. So, are they,
changes in the wages. I did increase our contracted services for Clean Harbors, who does these events for us, by 50,000, and that's not as, we're not expected to spend that, but it's there in case we have a big event. Do not know what people are going to do.
Clear over on the
So
chicken.
if they bring something that's very expensive to have, the money
We're, let me I'll call it Clayton and ask
is
him.
the program working okay for this next year. Won't need to increase our fee at all. And Curry County's been great to work with down there. Any comments on that, Tyler? Any comments on that?
Comments? Questions? No? All right.
Household hazardous waste building, is that this placeholder?
In case there needs to be a repair or something. Nothing in particular. We are gonna replace the roof this year, which is just over 10,000, but that'll be in this current year's budget.
It's in there now, Tim?
Okay, so a motion for solid waste.
Move tentative approval.
Okay, and a second? Okay. Any questions?
Yeah.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, road department.
You have to do this, or did we,
What?
we should do this.
Where's that?
Solid waste prioritized list.
Oh, 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 oh. There it is.
Right. So what is this from? What do you think?
I'll let Paul do that one.
He's coming in.
I think all it's first was out. Of course.
He said it's for the week out or whatever.
We did some, we did the management last year.
Yeah, I don't know why. I saw it was on the outside, but only the ones on the inside are the ones we're having problems with.
Bedding or wires.
Tillamook County has a way that they've been pretty successful in eliminating birds from roosting on their roofs and doing their thing. It's just little wires, or is it nylon, or like leader?
I've been wanting to get up there to look at it.
And they just put several strands, at different spaces across the roof, and it seems to discourage the birds from.
Crossways to the slope of the.
Yes.
It would have to be, yeah.
I don't know if it would make any difference, though. Well,
I don't know either, but we should, is it up off of the roof a ways?
it looks to me about that far. The other thing, if we could just get eagles to fly over all the time, they really scatter the seagulls.
So motion for solid waste prioritized project list.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Robert.
All right, now road.
All right, we're just touching on the key points and major changes.
Yep.
Unless you brought lunch. In that case, you better move through.
Okay, so road department revenue here, beginning balance, you'll see a little increase there, and that's just because there were projects we didn't complete last year that came over. So we do have several FEMA and emergency relief projects going on right now, and so we just put 500,000 in there as a placeholder. I don't know how much funding we're gonna get at this point. We're still in the beginning stages, so just put that in there. SRS went down a little bit. You can see down to 136 was their projection. Our federal STVG went down by 62,000. And these are all projections we get from the AOC. Motor vehicle fuel taxes, that went up by 251,000. We did have a gas tax increase this year, so it's up to 40 cents a gallon right now. work for county departments, you'll see that one just dropped by 100,000. The sheriff's office isn't getting fuel from us anymore. That is the only major change there.
Alrighty.
I'm not gonna go over surveyors. She was out sick when I asked for the budget, so this is not the current one.
It didn't change.
Well, I think she had her actuals for 228.
So that's fine.
Okay.
They already.
Okay. Okay. So jumping over to page 4, our expenses. As far as wages, employees, we have no changes, not gonna add anyone this year. Supplies, you can see that increased by 102,000, 117. I increased our rock budget. We got some major gravel road issues this year, and we're gonna need some extra money for rock, so I did increase that. Probably the worst I've seen are gravel roads since I've been here.
I noticed a few, like the old Seven Devils, the old gravel one going down the hill. The mud is coming up in various places. Other places pretty good shape, but especially when you first start down the first 400 or 500 yards, it's looking up pretty ugly. And of course, it runs water in the ditch all year long, so it doesn't help.
We've had a lot of rain.
Especially the one.
And they still remain gelatinous.
Paul's talked about reinstituting a heavy hauling permit system that would require unusually large concentrated use, such as a logging job or a lot of construction. Because our roads are made to be maintained to farm use, and all of a sudden you get 30, 40 log trucks coming over it in the middle of the winter. It just pounds the roads to pieces.
Well, the worst is on the public dedicated roads where.
And it's worse yet on those, because
Yeah, homeowners have to pay for all
yeah,
of that.
I think that's a good starting point for that particular.
Like the weight restrict all of the local access roads.
That makes. So you see what we're saying is you got a logging operation that has to go over a non-county maintained road. And so the citizens that live along that road are paying for maintenance that's caused by log trucks that are, they're not just getting to them from their house, they're making a profit, hopefully.
Well, in a lot of cases, those roads aren't maintained at all.
Yeah.
You're talking about like private roads? These are public roads.
Yeah,
We're
public
talking about-
dedicated,
Yeah,
not
so-
maintained by the county.
Oh, not maintained, okay.
They're a local access road. They're still a public road that the county has jurisdiction over, but they've never been accepted by the commissioners into the maintenance system. We don't maintain them,
Can those people charge a fee to the log truck? Could they like,
not under the current rules and laws.
could the county pass a rule that would let them do that?
Yes, and that's something that I'd like to, sometime in the near future, have a work session with the commissioners.
Good, that'd be great.
There should be a permit. You look at the conditions of the road before they start the work, document what the conditions are, and they have to respond to good or better.
Or maintain it
And maintain it
while they're there.
So that would be the function of the heavy load permit. It wouldn't be an actual fee. It would just be, you've got to do this maintenance.
Yeah,
And if you don't, then
There'd be some small fee for the permit, because we would have some time invested in going out, looking at the conditions, and after do what they're supposed to do to maintain the road. That would be fairly nominal. The user would pay or something.
This one?
Especially local access roads, as it is right now, the users.
You can do it with
on
fraction
that
of
road are
that.
responsible for maintaining it, not us.
Right.
That one's an even easier one. to Make the argument. Or sometimes it's a developer, calls in some lots, and you come in there with
live there right now.
We used to have a program where, that was an agreement amongst several timber landowners to maintain our roads, so that they be public dedicated or county maintained when they're
Have an
logging.
operation, yeah.
An operation.
They didn't wanna renew it.
And some pushback.
Okay, and so going down through, insurance premiums went up a little bit, some utilities increased that a little bit. Contracted services went up just a little bit. We did take the compliance officer out of there, but we may be putting money back in there. And then you can see I bumped up our engineering to 25,000 due to just the storm events that we're dealing with right now. We've got some major road issues out there, and we're gonna probably need some engineering. Any questions on that?
Nope.
Maybe one quick add-on to the compliance officer. Had some very yesterday, conversations with the sheriff about the idea of having a deputy be our code compliance person for roads and solid waste especially. There was talk in, the last few years amongst multiple departments about kind of teaming up or, paying a portion of the cost to have a deputy that was dedicated for departments. And we had intended to try to do that last year. It happened. Recently, we were scheduled 11 today. We scheduled that. So we're gonna talk to him more about that. We may be looking at trying to shift some money around. Do that late, to fund.
Good. Good.
And were they talking to you about the tower?
That's
It's in there?
yeah,
Okay.
24, I don't know that I got an exact number.
I think it's 25,000.
It's 24 and some change. I'll get it to you.
Okay, I have 20, I just have 24 in there, but, yeah, let me know the exact number.
Okay.
Okay, page 9, Fleet Services Division. No changes in personnel here for this coming year. So jumping down, no changes in supplies, no changes in that less than 5,000 equipment. Insurance premiums went up a little bit, fuel dropped, and now it's going up again, so let's hope I'm good there. I dropped it by 115,000 this year, so.
Talk about a moving target.
Oh my gosh. We got some really cheap fuel for a long time this year, which has been great. It was under $3 a gallon for months. So we did good there. So contracted services, you'll see there, the reason $33,000 increase is that tower, do I want to call it tower maintenance or radio? Tower channel, radio channel?
That's what I called it. You
Okay.
can call it whatever you want.
Okay, so I'll need to change that a little bit. I have 24,000 in there for that, and then cost allocation went up a little bit. And no other changes for fleet services. Oh, I did decrease major equipment repair. We hopefully don't have any major repairs.
Yeah, we don't have a lot that we know of. We had multiple.
And a few this year going on.
Yeah, we have a few going on right now.
That grader getting worked on right now?
Got the grader, well, we went to pick up the grader, thought there was none, and when we showed up to pick it up with the Playboy, they found some problem with the wiring harness, so we couldn't pick it up.
Oh.
Any questions on fleet services?
Nope.
Okay. page 12, capital projects. So contracted services, you're gonna see jump up, and that's, some of our ER FEMA projects. I have 500,000 in there, but that's kind of a placeholder. We've got some major issues where our projects for these roads that will probably be going out for bid.
And just to clarify, that is purely a placeholder. That number can be much, much larger. Both the ODOT ODOT and Federal Highway program and or FEMA. We know we're gonna get some money through the ER program. Right now, we're just doing the damage to see what projects. We've got one particular fly on Old Broadbent Road that's we've got lots of other. It's just a placeholder.
We've got a major wall failure on Ross Inlet we're gonna have to do this coming year. We got some.
When exactly?
Was there another one, or is this,
This is Megan's Road.
I don't think
The
we've gotten all
engineering's
of the
almost done.
engineering done
Engineering's
yet.
almost done.
I had the engineer go back and reconsider a rock buttress to see if by any chance we could make it work. Initially, he was skeptical, so he was focused on the wall. After looking at the site a little closer and the topography and the geometry of the slide, thought it was worthwhile to take another. He's gonna do a quick analysis because the cost is taking another quick analysis. So he's doing that, and whether it will work or not, the remaining work will be pretty quick. I would think you should easily have that out to bid this summer.
Seems to me it's kind of extravagant when they can just go around the other way.
I know, you could just go on the road, save $500,000.
Well,
We'll make a parking lot on the other side. You can just walk.
In Megan's defense, and others, that is a bypass for if there's a problem on the Isthmus Slough Bridge or
Yeah.
anywhere in that east side area on Hoosier Road. It is an important road to have.
so in the old days, the joke was if you're a commissioner, you got your road paved. Now apparently it's the finance director and treasurer and tax collector.
You signed some paychecks, so, seems fair to me.
Other projects we got, Glen Aiken from 2022 storm damage repair will hopefully go this coming summer. Libby Lane paving, that's gonna go out for bid here in June and hopefully get paved in July, August.
Should be paid probably August or September. But that's from Southwest Boulevard up to basically the top of the hill. It's a 2 mile section. It's the last 2 miles of Libby that.
Then Sandy Creek Culvert went out for bid and came in at
Came in just under the engine. The low bid was just under the engine.
was it 1.7? 2.7.
Sorry, it's 2.5. The engineer's estimate was 2.7.
So that will finally go this summer, and then we've got our diesel fuel tank that hopefully be finished this summer also. And on our equipment budget, and the STBG exchange, we are purchasing new equipment there. So we've got several things listed out, dump truck, conveyor for rock, roller, back on trailer or truck, we haven't decided. Chipper, a mini excavator, another dump truck used, box screed for paving, and then potentially equipment trailer. Some of these things will be used also, whatever.
What's a tilt rotator?
Tilt rotator is basically, it's a wrist on an excavator bucket.
Oh, I see.
Spin it
Yeah,
around a
yeah,
circle.
yeah. Good.
I did bump our engineering, sorry, jumped right past that, up to 100,000 for this year in this capital projects. Just, I know we're probably gonna be using that for all our storm damage.
One other clarification on the dump truck new, that's actually, we got the board approval.
A while back.
To pre-order one for this coming budget year because they're 9 to 12 months out getting them. Of course, have to reorder it. More like 6 months. Anyway, the truck has actually been built. And it's just about shop with the box and built for it. We should easily be able to get it.
Good.
What'd you get?
Kenworth.
Kenworth.
It'll be the first and only bobtail dump truck we have on the
That adds, how much weight capacity?
10 to 15
Yeah.
All right, any questions on capital projects?
Is your asphalt paver about paid for?
Right, yeah, we have 12 more years, 2027.
Oh.
2 more years or 3?
3.
Two more after this. 2027 is what I've got noted here.
Yeah, we'll try to find some good, we've already been looking like for the mini excavators. Looking at newer used, you know, with low hours. I've mentioned this to the board one time before, but for the benefit of everybody, like the roller with the cab, really struggling to find a good used one.
I think this one, the first year, we didn't.
We found a couple that had around 4,000 or 5,000 hours on them, which is about what our current non-cat rollers have. And they were like $150,000.
July of
It's only another 25 to buy a brand new with no hours. Plus a 4-year, 4,000.
Yeah.
Sense to buy used when they're that close. We have seen some
Yeah,
like
we
mini
did.
excavators, those are a little more
July.
for used.
In 20, because that's
Depends on
fiscal year
when we're actually
23 and 24, so
Mhm.
yeah, you've only made 2 payments.
Questions on that one? Okay, so jump over to page 14. You can see I added $398,370 into our contingency, trying to get that back up. We pulled a little bit out last year to get some new equipment, so just building that back up. And that is it for road.
Alrighty, motion for road department?
You wanna do
Just
the,
the prioritized projects first?
I guess.
I don't care about them. Just that one.
You want to do the project list and then do a motion for everything? or-
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, like last year, you know, there's different categories. If you flip through the pages there, you've got road projects, road failures, culvert projects, bridges, looking at the category. I only did an overall priority for 1 through 10, just the top 10 worst ones or most important ones. Beyond that, you know, we don't know where we're sitting exactly. So you'll see that overall priority numbers on the far right. We have, you know, a lot of road issues. Some of these have been lingering for years. Just haven't gotten bad enough to make it high enough on the priority list. So looking back here, our number 1 priority project is the Sandy Creek culvert, which is already been received that should be done this year. In fact, priorities number 1 through 9 are planned for this year in some fashion. Number 2 is the Gaylord Bridge. However, we applied for fill, and applied for money there, as well as through the bridge replacement program. If we are successful at the federal level, the highway bridge replacement program funding could be moved to the next prioritized bridge that we have, which would most likely be the one in Hinch Lane on South Street.
I think the federal these days.
Not anymore. After the wedding.
Number three is our beach loop drainage problem down at Crooked Creek. Also been there for a while. We have a consultant helping us with that. We're going through the permitting process right now. Preliminary to the permitting. We haven't actually even applied for the permits yet. We've been trying to do all the legwork on the front end so that once we apply, it should just. So we've been negotiating with DEQ and the Army Corps of Engineers. I think this is worth noting. That particular project is placing fill across wetlands to raise the road. The road is already a raised road, prison over a wetland. To be able to raise the road so that we can alleviate the flooding problem, we're gonna raise it about 8 feet. We've got to widen the footprint to accommodate the slopes. And to do that, we've got to fill, a strip of wetlands on both sides of the road. And so you've got one agency, the Army Corps of Engineers, and their program saying, don't fill wetlands. And you've got DEQ saying, we need you to treat stormwater running off this new paved surface, so we need you to fill wetlands to create an area to retreat the stormwater. So their two rules are kind of doing this, and we think we found a solution. DEQ is now, in some cases, allowing off-site for stormwater treatment. Might be able to get away with minimizing the footprint across the wetland. Down the road on Beach Loop, we're probably gonna have to make some changes on some roadside areas to treat stormwater. Which is a much better option than trying to, because the extra fill to, in there is probably and of course, we would much rather do the off-site mitigation for stormwater. So we're working through that process. We believe we'll get that.
And eliminate the undercar wash, the chassis wash.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a few people down there that we're on first name basis now. I get pretty regular check-in calls from 2 or 3.
God, I get a lot more calls on that one than I do on that. I get a lot more calls on that road than I do on that one we were talking about earlier.
Oh, nobody cares.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you gotta start calling.
Yeah, don't call.
I used to live off of Driftwood.
I remember lots of calls on that.
Number 4 is on page 2. It's the West Fork Milcoma Road, the Chemaco slide. We've applied for a brick grant through Oregon Emergency Management and FEMA. It looks very promising. Everything we're hearing for feedback sounds good. Applied for $1.64 million. We had 3 recommendations from an engineer, 3 options. Cheap, yeah, this will make it better, but not a whole lot better option. We had the $1.6 million option, which is substantially better. It includes some horizontal drains and then some rockfall protection on the slope. And the material coming down better, easier. And then there was an option for about $6.5 million, which was remove the as part of that whole project's development, the county has been able, it's not quite finalized, but we're in the final stages of accepting a land donation from Weyerhaeuser for that property, so the county will have control over it. In the past, we've always had a coordinating. Let's see. Number 5 is on page 4. Tuckway Lane and East Bay. We've had a drainage problem there for a little while. We purchased the pipe, it's sitting there on site, we're just waiting till about June. Number 6 is back on page 2, 6 and 7 both. Those were ER projects, ODOT and Federal Highway ended up paying for all the engineering work thus far. We're gonna have to similar situations when we build small lot purchases. We've already got engineers. Ready to go. Estimate.
Yeah.
And all bridge projects. Number 8 is the Noble Creek Bridge, which we have budgeted some funding in there to have repaired. Both back walls on the abutments need replaced. Old treated wood.
You're talking about Green Acres?
Yeah, it's in Green Acres.
There's 2 Noble Creeks.
What's that?
There's multiple Noble
Yeah.
Creeks.
Some people call it Noble Slough. It's in Green Acres. And then one of the pile caps is rotten, so we're gonna replace that at the same time. 9 is Middle Creek, that was also planned for this year's. That's just removing excess asphalt that's on the deck of the bridge. There's between 9 and 12 inches of asphalt. It's just been overlaid over and over. Now it's gotten to the point where we're gonna have to. We'll partner with ODOT and have them come in with their one. And then number 10 is the Coo City Sumner Bridge. We do not have, we don't have that planned, other than we do plan on having an engineer evaluate the approach to that bridge. This is the bridge on Coo City Sumner Road. You turn off 101, bridge over Isthmus Slough right there by the old Northwest Highway. If you driven over, I mean, if you hit that too fast, you're probably gonna get.
I haven't yet.
The approach to that.
Sure.
She's probably trying to.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty harsh.
But yeah, it's pretty bad.
She hasn't tried to jump from 40 to 50 feet yet.
There's, if you look on pages 2, under road failures, 2 and 3, and then also on page 5, under culverts, you'll see on the left-hand column, those are kind of the priority numbers within the group, within that type of project. You'll see a bunch of question marks. Those are, the ones I have on this list are ER projects. Like I say, we're right now working with Federal Highway to see if we can do other things. So those are just question marks right now. We don't know what to do. It's on our list, but I wanted to make sure this had captured them.
You could,
Questions?
you could save the commissioners a lot of time on your number 9 listing here if you would close that road with Don Gurney on the other side of the bridge.
You guys, he actually lives on the near side of that.
Oh, shoot.
And he has a house in town
I was gonna say, I don't see
Okay.
it there.
Questions about the prioritized project list?
So he's closer to you guys.
I need a motion on the road department budget and the prioritized project list.
Move tentative approval.
Have a second? Well, good, thank you, nobody. Any questions about it? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Now,
Now what?
we have to give Megan time to restructure everything, so we'll be back here at 2:15. It gives her an hour and 55 minutes to work on stuff.
How come it takes so long?
The word was Megan was buying lunch if we came early.
Yeah?
I live on the other side of the slough, so I like to look over them and be like, well, they've only got one lane.
Okay, huh,
We can do two, and I'll do as much as I possibly can.
okay. We'll be back here at 2 then. We're in recess till 2.
All right.
Thank you.
Off we go into the world of blue yonder.
That one